Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Malti Kembabi, part of Population First and Ladli team. A very, very warm welcome to all of you for the gender-sensitive reporting in regional media this afternoon. The Ladli Media Advocacy Initiatives of Population First has been working closely with the media across the country to strengthen and build the capacity of journalists and create a trained pool that can develop gender-sensitive and inclusive reports on a variety of subjects. We recognize that most media and journalism schools in the nation may not have a robust gender curriculum. This means that various tones of a powerful gender narrative may remain limited. We also recognize the power media has to shape the narratives of a society, a state, and a nation. Thus, it becomes imperative that a range of programs and initiatives to be introduced to ensure mainstreaming gender in the media and eventually the larger population. This workshop is being supported by UNFPA and the Royal Norwegian Embassy in New Delhi. So before I formally begin the session, I would like to quickly put down a few guidelines, which is important for all of us. May I please request all the participants to keep their audio on mute and videos on. Feel free to use the chat box for your questions. Raise your hands if you want to share any of your questions with us. Please also note that we have dedicated question answers after each session for all the participants. Moving on to our session, we are very delighted to have amongst us our guest of honor, Mr. Sriram Haridass, Deputy Representative, UNFPA India. He's a national of Sri Lanka and brings with him over 18 years of experience in strategic planning and programming in both development and humanitarian contexts. Prior to joining UNFPA India, he served in UNFPA Sierra Leone, where in addition to overseeing the implementation of large-scale donor-funded projects, he also coordinated the UNFPA's response to the Ebola crisis. Before that, Mr. Haridass spent nearly 9 years with UNHCR in Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, and South Sudan. Mr. Haridass holds a master's degree in law and human rights from the University of London and a bachelor's degree in business administration from Curtin University of Technology, Perth. Welcome, sir. May I now please request you to share your thoughts with us. Thank you.
Thanks, Malati. I hope everyone can hear me well.
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me start by congratulating Population First for organizing today's event on gender-sensitive reporting in regional media. I understand this is the third such event, and efforts have been made to reach out to Gujarati and Urdu media on the same theme as well. I'm really happy. I don't know how many of you all heard Dr. Sharada speaking earlier, as I have been asking Pop First and Dr. Sharada that we need to venture more into regional media. So I'm really happy to be here with all of you today. We all know that media plays a critical role in shaping popular perception on gender roles and identities and addressing discriminatory norms and practices. Media can therefore shape the way we think, what we believe, and how we behave as individuals, but also as a community. The influential role of the media is particularly relevant when we focus on tackling issues like gender inequality. Media can shape public opinion and culture by challenging gender stereotypes, depicting men and boys, women and girls in gender diverse roles, and promoting increased recognition of women and their contributions in society. So what does it take for the media to be gender sensitive? One, ensuring sensitive portrayal and representation of women and girls in stories and narratives. Currently, women are narrowly represented in the media. They are either linked to the domestic situation or are represented as objects to entertain the male readers, viewers. They are generally portrayed as young, overwhelmingly fair, size 0, and conforming to images of what we define as ideal beauty. Because of the patriarchal nature of our society, women are less likely to be the main source of stories and are also much less likely to be called in as experts for giving an opinion. I would like to call upon the media, therefore, to make a conscious effort to move away from the stereotypical images and cliches about women and girls, to ensure a more balanced representation of men and women as source of information, opinion, and expertise, and to present every story from the point of view of how it impacts women and girls. My second point is about the coverage given to women and women's issues in the media. We are aware that women and girls are largely invisible, especially in stories related to, say, economics, business, politics, government, science and technology, conflicts, disasters, etc. I can go on. I will simply look at an example of business. We find most business news focuses around men. Women's issues like the difficulties and discrimination women face at workplaces, the issues they have accessing finances, the career progression that they are denied because they are women and because they have to avail maternity leave. And even their achievements are rarely covered. Media persons need to be equipped with skills and their capacity is built to analyze information, fact, and data from a gender perspective and bring in the missing part of the story. We also need to understand that when we portray women and girls, they should be portrayed as themselves and not in relation to men. Take, for example, the couple from MIT that won the 2019 Nobel Prize for Economics, Abhijit Banerjee and Esther Duflo. Several media reports just mention Abhijit Banerjee and his wife, while she was an equal contributor to developing the model for alleviating global poverty. My third point is on the reporting on women-specific issues. I would like to use an example of reporting on sexual and gender-based violence. Reporting on this issue should be done in a sensitive manner without sensationalizing the issue. Sensitive reporting of sexual and gender-based violence undertaken by maintaining neutrality, ensuring privacy and confidentiality, narrating the story from the perspective of the survivor and being non-judgmental can enable survivors to seek appropriate support, tackle stigma and exercise their agency, thereby helping rebuild their lives. Insensitive reporting, on the other hand, with moralistic overtones like comments on the survivor's outfit, on a survivor being intoxicated, on the survivor being out late in the night, etc., can reinforce stereotypes, result in victim blaming, and goes against the survivor's human rights. Such reporting can also make common people carry biases of the kinds of women who can face sexual violence or assault. While we are aware that any woman can be subject to violence, especially sexual violence, as it's an issue of actually unequal power relations. My fourth point is of how gender sensitivity needs to be taken to all levels within media organizations to ensure more nuanced reporting. We find that sometimes a very sensitively written story, in fact, can be distorted and made sensational by insensitive editing, adding a sensational headline or caption or an inappropriate illustration. We have seen many well-written stories on gender-biased sex selection, for example, that include well-researched data, the drivers, implications, and efforts of local organization to address the issue. But on many occasions, they are supplemented with an illustration of a fetus being strangled or a dagger piercing the womb, etc. Imagery such as this implies murder or killing and can go against women's right to safe and legal abortion. My fifth point is that of gender equality within media houses. Recent years have seen more women than ever before working in the media, and that's great. But a close look, we realize that a large majority of women that are present are actually present at lower and middle levels. And the number of women producers, executives, chief editors, and others at the top are relatively low. Why is this the case? The obvious answer is that women do not reach the top because they have to balance between the family and work life, and that holding high-powered positions within media houses and raising children at the same time compromises with their career progression options. But a critical question is whether the workplace itself has made efforts to be inclusive. Are maternity policies in place? Can staff avail maternity, paternity leave? Does the organization invest in childcare and after-school support, etc.? My last point is about this structural issue. That's how gender is taught in journalism schools, which Malati briefly touched upon in her opening remarks. In fact, I don't think I'm mistaken when I'm saying that, barring a few schools, most institutions either offer gender as an elective subject or incorporate it in some general way as part of a general or a culture section, or don't offer it at all. Even from our side, if I'm being very fair and honest, the engagement with journalism schools have been limited. And this is a challenge I have for my own team. And again, a request I have for Population First. to see how we can further strengthen our partnership with journalism schools. The regional media has a greater reach and is a big influencer than the national media. You actually reach out to individuals in rural areas and small towns where the national media cannot actually penetrate. You can play the role of a catalyst in bringing about change in perception and sensitivities related to gender equality. Ensure that narratives are sensitive to the diverse needs of women and girls. Portray men and women equally. Ensure that reporting on women's issues is sensitive and they are not actually sensational. Me being Sri Lanka and coming from Sri Lanka, the southern part of India is actually very close to me. I have visited and traveled all the 4 states, now 5 with Telangana. I personally feel that the south of India has more in common with Sri Lanka than, say, Delhi, from where I'm actually speaking now. And being a Sri Lankan Tamil, I can at least speak with confidence about the Tamil media in India. Like many Sri Lankan Tamils, I myself grew up on stories, news, literature, and cinema from Tamil Nadu. While, if I can say, things have improved in the last, say, 20, 30 years, there is still a long way to go when it comes to gender-sensitive reporting in Tamil media. For example, take the Tamil cinema industry, for example. Like Bollywood, it stands as a cultural institution that shapes culture and identity. If I'm not mistaken, it is the same with Malayalam, Kannada, and Telugu movie industries as well. Case in point, for the last 1 month, all I have been hearing a lot of KGF Chapter 2, although I'm yet to see that particular movie. So I'll reserve my judgment, while I see that. So though there have been considerable change in the mindset of the Tamil film industry by way of producing, say, female lead movies, which I guess you cannot imagine seeing 10, 15 years back. Majority of the Tamil movies are still showcasing women as sexual objects. In a country where gender-biased sex selection is a major issue, there are still movies being churned out that glorify boys and continue to reinforce the stereotype that girls are a burden on the family. Often, unfortunately, these movies become a big success. And for me, that is not even the worst part. Reviews and media stories celebrate actually the success of such movies. And there is hardly any discussion about the subtle but dangerous messages these movies are promoting. And this seriously needs to change. So let us do our bit and script a story of change. And I hope that this event will be a stepping stone for the change story to come. A story where women and girls, men and boys are represented equally and in gender diverse role. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Mr. Haridass, for your insights and encouragement. I understand due to paucity of time, you won't be with us till the end. On behalf of our entire team and the panelists, thank you so much and very valuable words. Thank you. Moving on to the next, I would now like to call upon Dr. Sharada, our Director for Population First, and the force behind the work being undertaken. As we all know, Dr. Sharada has been very active in the developmental sector for the last 35 years as a teacher, researcher, trainer, program manager. She was on the faculty of the Central University of Hyderabad and the Indian Institute of Health Management Research, Jaipur. She has conducted and curated content for numerous workshops on inclusivity and gender sensitivity with diverse groups. She will present to us the Ladli Media initiatives and how you can choose to be a part of this movement to bring a long-lasting change by shaping conversations about gender, diversity, and inclusion. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome, Dr. Sharada.
Thank you, Malti. I'm so happy that we have all the people who are very closely associated with Ladli today from the southern states, Roopa Vani, Satyavati, Loganayaki, Shahina, Vanaja, Manjula. And you all have been very closely associated with Ladli as jury members, as, state level coordinators, and as always work with you all. The reason why I chose you to be on the panel today is very simple, because you know what Population First is striving to do. You have been a part of it, and also you're a part of the media, and you are a witness to the changes that are taking place in the media. So I thought it would be good to talk to you to understand why the media is what it is today. And also we are concerned that over the years, the number of entries from the regional media have been reducing considerably. And we were wondering, what is it that is causing, or what is it that is behind the reduction in the number of entries that we are receiving from the regional media. And the preliminary discussion that we were having just before we started the the webinar, it was an eye opener for me, because some interesting points have come out of that brief discussion that I had with Manjula and Roopa Vani. The Ladli Media Awards, as you all know, are working with the media as an influencer. If we want to change the way women are treated, if we want to change the way the women are perceived as in society, we feel the biggest influencer is the media, whether it is print media, electronic media, web media, films, theater, whatever. Communication industry is the biggest influencer. And we feel that if we change the projection of women in the pop culture, we'll be able to change a lot of mindsets in the country. Because as Sriram has mentioned, if you see repeatedly zero size women, or if you repeatedly see only beautiful women, even as elderly women, even as only the wicked women are not good looking. They have bhakti, they have one eye, they are shown in with some disability, or with some kind, something which does not go with the definition of being beautiful. But otherwise, whether it is mother-in-laws, mothers, grandmothers, everybody has to be beautiful in a serial. Okay, and then even in our projection in the print media, when we are writing about the news, in advertisements, when we are showing different kinds of characters, we tend to stick to a certain stereotype of women who are good on the eye, you like to see beautiful people in the media. And once we change that, there will be more acceptability of people who do not fall into the the projection that is there in the media. For instance, it is it is shown that women, if you look at the diagram, most people do not fall into that zero size category. They are the few, but then the whole majority of the people are made to feel insecure about our body, our complexion, our hair, our teeth, our nose, whatnot. So we are always living in that insecure world where we do not value ourselves, do not appreciate ourselves as we are. And this is actually the what you call the basis for the complete consumerist culture, where they're selling lipsticks, eyeliners, hair colors, and dresses, and whatnot. So there is this whole commercial thing which actually thrives on making women feel inadequate and insufficient, and feels very unhappy about themselves. Keeping that aside, it is, I would just like to say that as an organization, we've been working to engage the communication industry in, working on these issues. So we are very happy that our interventions with the advertising profession has led to so much change that I am really very happy. I think one industry which has responded to us very, very well is the advertising industry. And IAA has done a lot of research on gender portrayals in media. And then we have ASCII, which is coming up with, which has done a study called Gender Next, and they have come up with a framework called C framework, where they want advertising agencies to show women as self-confident, empowered, and allied, supported by others. So that is a very good thing, rather than showing women as weak and suffering or dependent or diffident. They want women to be shown in a positive light, and that is something which is very good. Now they are working at coming up with a framework, guideline, set of guidelines for the advertising industry to score their own ads on gender, for gender sensitivity, which is a very big, what you call, step towards making the most powerful media, because unlike newspaper, which is read only by those who can read and have access, films which need money to go and watch, and where we have the option of not watching or not reading, advertising is there on your face all the time. Whichever channel you use, whichever newspaper you see, wherever you go on the road, we are bombarded by messages. And if those messages become gender sensitive, there is a big impact that is bound to happen, bound to have on the way people perceive women and girls in society. So we have done a lot of work with the advertising professionals. We have done a lot of work with the media, lot of webinars, and we have largely media awards. And we also understand that the opportunities for learning are limited for media persons with regard to gender. So we have a number of gender media workshops which are done not to give information, but to make them aware of the internalized biases that they have regarding gender and how they are reflected in their writing. So we have done a large number of media workshops across the country, from Srinagar to Kerala. We have done workshops everywhere. And we also have fellowships for the media persons, which gives them the required money and the buy-in from the editor to do stories which are gender sensitive. So these are all the things that we are doing, and I request all of you to apply for our fellowships, write good stories, and send them for our Lardy Media Awards, and also help reach out to us if you want us to do a good gender sensitization workshop or any topic like which is related to women and which can be explored through the lens of gender sensitivity. Please reach out to us. And what is gender sensitivity in reporting? Whatever, it is not about writing stories about women, but it is about having a perspective, understanding that men and women get affected differently by various things that are happening in society. That is because the social concept of gender determines what are the opportunities available to men and women, what are the privileges and entitlements of men and women, and what are the roles and responsibilities of men and women. So when there is a job, when there is a crisis like, say, COVID, it's very likely that more women will be out of jobs, because when everybody is at home, the burden of household work falls on the woman, childcare falls on the woman, care of the elderly falls on the woman, and she may not be able to work from home as easily as a man would do. And also the organizations may feel that if we have to take out somebody from the job, it's better, or it is easy to take a woman out of the job than take a man out who may be the only breadwinner in the family. So that consideration is also there. Oh, if I remove a man from the job, what will happen to his family? But women's work, women's earning is seen as as secondary, supplementary earning in the family. So they feel okay, it is okay to remove women from the job. So all these things have impacted women. And then the studies have also shown that more men have gone back to work after the lockdown and the easing of the COVID situation, but the unemployment among the women continues to be high. So whether it is COVID, whether it is pandemic, how does the pandemic affect the girls and their education? Do they have the same access to digital technology? Similarly, various things, environment, what happens to environment, how women participate in it, in protecting the environment, and how environmental degradation affects women, or current events, any jatra, any political meeting. And I was very happy to see one journalist writing about, the presence of sexual harassment committees in political party offices. She found that none of the political party offices have a cell or have a committee, sexual harassment committee. And that's something really, it's something shocking, and we need to work on. So when journalists write about such things, they help us, the social activists, those who are working in the social sector, to pursue those issues and take it forward and bring about change. So they also help the governments to understand, okay, this is what is lacking, and they can implement that project in a better way. So the journalists play a very key role in as change makers, as initiators of change. And we really believe in the power of the media, and we want to strengthen the hands of the media in acting as change agents. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sharada. Thank you so much, Dr. Sharada. Really very informative, and there's so much of passion when you talk to us about these issues. So my dear participants, are you all ready with your papers and pens? Because the next speaker is going to talk to us about how to write gender-sensitive reports. We have with us Ms. C. Vanaja. She's an award-winning journalist, a TV presenter, filmmaker. After being a successful bilingual journalist for more than a decade, she ventured into filmmaking and made films on developmental and social issues. She is the first Telugu journalist to get the prestigious Ramnath Goenka Award, which was followed by many other awards in both journalism and documentary films. Her films have traveled across the globe by getting nominated in many prestigious film festivals. She's also a writer and a translator for both fiction and non-fiction. Ma'am, it's a privilege to have you with us. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Malti, but I don't think anyone in this room needs pen and paper to write what I'm going to say. Because, it's like sometimes I feel it's like preaching to the content. So everyone in this meeting are actually sensitized and they know what what I'm going to speak basically. Yeah, and a minute. So here, actually, as I said, none of you are not really going to learn anything from what I say, but I like to talk about some stories, how we are missing, because we are missing gender lenses, while writing stories. We all know that, Disha encounter, I start with that. Disha issue in Hyderabad and the encounter, and later Supreme Court's commission, and Supreme Court commission actually finally said this is a fake encounter, and the hero, the Commissioner Sajjanar, who was prized and celebrated, went to the commission and said, I have nothing to do with the thing, and he had thrown around 10 people under the bus who, as sub-inspectors, circle inspectors, DSPs. He passed the, when everyone praised him, he took all the, fame, but when he has to stand for it, he didn't stand, and he put everyone at the risk. So in that case, I still remember when that happened in our women journalist groups, not anywhere else. Everywhere it's like a great thing, like, Disha's accused were encountered, that commissioner was praised and all that. Surprisingly, in women journalist group also, a lot of people praised him. When couple of us tried to, say some, try to speak some sense, it was like, we received bitter criticism, if it happens to you, if it happens to your child, will you do the same thing, So that encounter was praised like anything. All women journalists, and most of them are gender, they have gender sensitivity. They know what exactly it is, but still they prefer to go with, the commissioner who killed them extrajudicially. And in that, euphoria, whatever I don't know what to say, they missed really all the stories. One of the accused wife, Chennakeshulu is his name. His wife is 13 years old by the when this happened. She's pregnant too. And that girl was, that girl is still actually fighting. I don't know if she knows what she's fighting for, but she's still fighting. She's saying, my husband is innocent. But nobody wants to listen to that, because she's a wife of an accused. Though she's a 13 years old girl, nobody wants to write her story. I'm not saying maybe nobody is not a right word, because, at least a couple of organizations wrote about her. That's why we all came to know. But mainstream had missed that story. Mainstream stories were not, mainstream didn't write about her, what is her, who is she? There's a 13-year-old girl pregnant, is wife of the accused, and nobody wants to listen what she wants to say. That's a story we all missed. Mainstream media did not want to do it. Even women were saying, because she has to pay for what her husband did. That is a kind of response a lot of people said, including women journalists. And she's already paying. She's 13 years old. She's pregnant, and she lost her husband in this encounter, which we don't know whether he's part of the crime or not. And because we, like in many other states in India, we also have that record where we, if some influential people are involved in the crime, we bring in people who are not connected, and we show them as accused. We have a case called A.L.Sharada case, where the real perpetrators are big people, political people with money. They arrested a guy who is not even remotely connected with the case, and they put him under the bars for 9 years, not even 1, 2, 3 years, 9 years, because, and interestingly, girl's family fought for him. They went on saying he is not the guy. He doesn't have anything to do with that. Because of that, after 9 years, and because of some civil rights, lawyers, he got out, and then we all came to know that he is not the guy. If nobody is there to fight for him, if they had killed him in encounter, nobody would know that, So we don't know in Disha's encounter because they killed them. They killed 4 people. We really don't know whether those 4 people did that or not. And in any case, actually, all the 4 people are not equally responsible. That's why all FIRs have A1, A2, A3, A4. There are people who would do, there are people who would just stand, there are people who would just help. But when you kill people, everyone gets the same justice, same injustice rather. So these are the stories we all missed. It's very few people, very few civil rights activists and women rights activists, mostly civil rights activists. They were speaking about it, but their voice is not big voice. When Sajjanar killed them, the pricing of Sajjanar is page 1 news. Actually, most of the newspapers, they blatantly praised Sajjanar, the commissioner of the police, who did that. Now, of course, he is denying that he has no information. He doesn't know anything. Yeah, but he didn't say that. Even the ministers were also praising him. That was the case happened. So these are the cases we are missing out. Earlier I was listening to what Sharada, Roopa were talking about. Women, why people are not there in the why we are not getting nominations and all. We are not. Now there are 2 issues. The women or men who are in the media missing gender lenses. That is one part. The other part is women themselves missing in the media. In the pandemic, it's women who lost jobs because most of the newspapers, they cut down their feature pages. All the women are only in the feature pages. Women are not in the mainstream, mainstream reporting, mainstream desk. They are in the feature pages. When they cut down the feature pages, it is women who lost all the jobs. That's why, that is a reason actually Ladli is not getting nominations also. That is also one of the reasons. Most of the women are out of the job. We have a women journalist group in Hyderabad, Roopa, we are all part of it. So it's around 200 people, 200 plus people. There are hardly 20, 30 people are in jobs. Most of them are out of jobs now. So one gender lens is missing. The other one is gender itself is, women as a gender is missing in the media. So now there are less and less women in the room. And when we talk about gender sensitized reporting, I'll tell you one experience. This is not my experience, my colleague's experience. When she went to teach gender sensitivity reporting in a class of 35 people in a news channel, there are 35 men and 2 girls, 35 boys and 2 girls. Everyone, all of them are in 20s, in their 20s. So when that's the time when this case in Hyderabad is going on, girls from Nalsar went to a bar, and a couple of TV channels chased them, and they portrayed them very badly. They, of course, because it's Nalsar faculty stood with them. They fought, in the court, and finally they fought, and they got penalized, those two channels. But when she referred that case, when she said how these TV channels are wrong in doing that, all 35 boys were up against, and it's like fighting. How can you say that? How can you say that women can go to bars, women can wear those kind of clothes? That is the kind of mindset we all have. That is the kind of mindset most of the men have, and very sadly, most of the women also have. Every time, I think this is very prevalent in South India, and I think in other parts of country also. We have these, Unnada Prema. What is it called? Okay. These boys, young boys, they kill young girls for not, not agreeing to marry, for not, in relation, for going out of the relationship with them. It's like intermediate boys and girls. That happens here very often, in Hyderabad, in Telangana, Andhra. Every time that happens, the first angle that comes is whether she said yes to him earlier, whether she said yes to him earlier. Okay, she said she was in relationship with that boy, and then she opted out. That's why he is angry. That's why she is killing. So this is a very logically, acceptable sequence for many journalists, because they probe that angle first. That is the first angle they probe. Do they know each other? Did they ever went to restaurant or park? They go and talk. Okay, have you seen these boy and girl, in this restaurant or in this park? Then it is justified. When it happens to us, if in our cases, if our 13-year, 14-year, 15-year girl is going into a relationship, we all talk to her, to get out of it, because that's not the time to get into a relationship. There's a future education, and we talk them out. This might have happened with that girl, but no, it's not justified, because she said yes. That 14, 15 years girl said yes once. Because she said no again, he got angry. And that is a justified angle to the story. All the time, I'm telling you, almost every time. When a boy, the same kind of boy, killed a girl in UK, United Kingdom, London, that was a story played in Hyderabad. They went around and, they were talking to their friends. They were saying, no, they were in relationship. If they were in relationship, doesn't she have a right to get out of it? That is the angle we miss. This angle is being accepted by all, men, women, both. That is the sad part. Whether it's a Disha encounter or these kind of killings. When it comes to domestic violence, 498A, the moment we talk about domestic violence, most of them, women also say, there are women who also does violence. Now I think this video is going viral. One wife beating husband with a cricket bat every day. I think that CCTV footage has come out, and that video is going viral. So if the moment you talk about the domestic violence, these are incidents they bring up, and there are people in both sides. It's like, okay, women are also bad. When it comes to 498A, I've seen those discussions in our own groups, in our own women journalist group. Immediately they bring in all those are false cases, and they watch that, okay, this happened to my cousin, this happened to my nephew, this happened to my brother. They were, false cases against them. And they do not want to go beyond that. Why women put 498A cases? Even then, there is no dowry or physical violence. Because when a girl wants to go out of a marriage, wedlock, boys' family do not want to just, do not want to sit and talk. They want them to wear out. So, because, they can fight. Girl cannot fight long, they can fight. They will just wait and watch. Only to bring men or husband to the discussion table, they go and file 498. Of course, it is a false case in such situations, because they want the men to come and talk. Otherwise, they won't come and talk. This is every women activist, every lawyer is that, suggestion to women. If you don't file 498, they will never come and talk to you. That is the only way to bring them to a discussion table, to talk, to get a mutual, consent divorce. And they say, no, that is a false case, because they put a case, now we will not. So we miss this angle all the time. Almost, when I say all the time, 100% of the time. Immediately say, okay, there are so many acquittals in that case. That's why it is false. And there are so many acquittals in rape cases also. There are so many acquittals, interestingly, in POCSO cases. Okay, when it comes to rape cases, people say that, women lie. Most of the time, this is a general, women lie. That's why there are these many cases. But why in POCSO cases, children won't lie? They do not even know that they are being, assaulted sexually. They do not know. When somebody comes to know that they're being sexually assaulted, then this becomes a case. It's not it's not some false case. But even then, the acquittals are very, very high. And interestingly, the entire system is so sympathetic to perpetrators. I've been to one of these POCSO cases while I was doing this TV program. One of my friends works as a government leader in these cases. And I was shocked to see the kind of sympathy everyone will have towards perpetrators, because these are little children. And if it's a boy, even more. If boy is sexually assaulted, everyone wants to protect the perpetrators. Even if it's a girl, because the girl is a child, they don't think that's a rape. That's just a physical assault, because she's a girl, she doesn't have Sheelam, quote unquote Sheelam, so there is no Manabhangam kind. So, and it's like, that boy has a future. That boy has a future. We cannot do that. No, let's go light. I have seen doing this from police to judge. I'm saying police to judge. And I was in the court and the judge was saying she wanted to give bail to the perpetrator. The defense lawyer is not so good. She's asking, give me something to give you the bail. Give me something. She's inviting, give me something, quote something, do something, so that I'll give you the bail. So every time some case happened, POCSO case, it's like whatever makes headlines is, this person. But what we miss is what kind of the FIR is, put in. Most of the times, they will, police will put the correct FIR, correct section, but subsection they will, mislead. So that, they will get less this thing, or they will have a chance to get out of the case. So faulty charge sheets, and even if there is a faulty charge sheet, they will not bring evidence to the court. And I have seen cases where there are open and shut cases basically, but they will not bring that key evidence to the court. If there is no evidence, they cannot, give conviction. So the entire system is pro perpetrators, not with the survivor. So these are the stories we always miss. We only, if a child is abused in a school, that becomes a headline and we forget. But the story is what section they are, charging with. In one of the cases in Hyderabad, a girl is being abused by a PT teacher in the school. That school is a very, known, very famous, big school. And when the FIR is filed, they altered the section. According to that section, the school is not, section, that crime did not happen in the premises of the school. They name the, accused, they name the perpetrators and the victim, everything is right, but school's name is missing. They change the, section. And because of that, the school will not have any responsibility. And that's not even a unknown case. It's a headline case. All the newspapers wrote about that case. But we miss that, we miss that element. There are only a couple of people who found out and, talked, but nobody cared. They just wanted that guy to be punished, if at all he gets punished, to get him punishment, police needs to not just a FIR, they need to file a proper charge sheet, and then they need to bring all the proper evidence. If they change the place of the crime, they cannot bring evidence ever. That is a very, it happened in the school. If the school is not in the FIR, that school's name is removed. How are they going to, even prove that? How the prosecution is going to prove the case? Very simple. That means from the day one, they know that they do not want to make this case a big thing. It's not that, some sub-inspector level guy did that. These cases are known cases. Everyone knows, SPs, everyone is involved. Even when this thing is taken to the notice of the higher officials, the FIR is never altered, So what I'm trying to say is that in every story that is happening around, we are missing certain angles. We are going with the flow with the mainstream media, where so many things are put under the carpet. I think we start, I choose to talk about only crime stories today because, Disha thing is happening now and all. There are so many other angles, in pandemic, it's like women are the biggest victims of, everything. People are now making that video viral, the women beating husband with a cricket bat. But in the pandemic, the highest search on Google is how to beat wife. The ways of beating wife is the biggest, one of the top searches of Google, but that has not become a viral story. This becomes a viral story. And when these stories come up, people bring up that story and they try to weigh both together. And okay, see, women are also bad. They also beat. They also do the same thing. So if we want to write gender stories, we need to check those stories. Every time someone says, okay, women are also bad. No, there is a power balance. Even if women are bad, even if women are at the wrong, we need to stand with them because, there is always a power balance. There is always a power equation in the society. If somebody is in the, lower part of the power balance, we need to see story from that angle. It's not that both are same. When both crimes are not same, actually. Maybe Indian Penal Code says that, but no, that's what I feel. In a gender imbalanced society, those cannot be equal, and those are just exceptions. You cannot bring exceptions as a main stories. So yeah, that's all I would like to talk today.
Thank you so much, Vanaja ji. I mean, I think I'm quite nostalgic to hear so much that is happening. Thank you, and so informative. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next session is a panel discussion, and it is moderated by Dr. A.L.Sharada, which will be at looking at the challenges and opportunities in reporting on issues from a gender perspective. Here we have 5 panelists who will be joining Dr. Sharada, and I would like to introduce them. We have with us Loganayaki Ramachandran, an award-winning and acclaimed writer, journalist, editor, and a social worker. She was the editor of Snehidi, a leading Tamil bi-weekly for women published by eminent Kumudam, a group of magazines after a stint of 2 decades, and is now a consultant editor. Passionate about empowering women, she has organized capacity building workshops in addition to providing a free promotional platform for small-scale women entrepreneurs to usher them on a path to financial freedom. A very warm welcome, Loganayaki ma'am. The next panelist that we have with us is Kondaveeti Satyavati, an active champion of women's rights, has been associated with the anti-Iraq movement and has been working along with Anveshi Research Center for Women's Studies. She started 2 feminist magazines, Lohitha in 1989, and became the founder editor of the first feminist magazine in Andhra Pradesh, Streevada Patrika Bhumika in 1993. She has been recognized for her contribution and awarded with the Dashabadi Mahila Woman of the Decade Award, Best Journalist, and the Ladli Media Award for Southern Region. Her dream is to work towards a violence-free society for all women. Welcome, Satyavati Garu.
Thank you.
The next panelist, we would like to extend a very warm welcome, who's associated with the Telugu media. She's Roopa Vani Koneru.
Yeah.
Somebody will have to go on mute, please. Roopa Vani Koneru, a journalist, scriptwriter, documentary filmmaker, short story writer, event producer, and a host. She has lead managed several stellar concepts to promote cultural aspects, as well as bring to the fore the social evils, especially those perpetrated on women and girls, rampant in the society. She has received several accolades for her work, including the prestigious Nandi Award for her documentaries. Roopa Garu, a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Andy.
So, presenting a view into Malayalam media will be Shahina KK, who is an award-winning journalist working as an associate editor of the news portal The Federal. She has been one of the first generation television journalists in Malayalam and has won several accolades, including the coveted Chamela Devi Jain Award, my apologies, and the Kerala State Award. Her notable works include an investigative reportage on Rajiv Gandhi's assassination and an exclusive story on Talai Kuttal, a ritualistic geronticide practice in southern Tamil Nadu. Welcome, Shahina ma'am. Extending a very warm welcome is to C.G. Manjula, former associate editor for PRAJAVANI, a leading Kannada daily for the last 36 years. She has written extensively on gender issues and wrote a fortnightly column for the newspaper for more than 5 years. She received many accolades and awards for her on-ground reporting, including the Ladli Media and Advertising Award for Gender Sensitivity in 2008 in Kannada. Currently, she is an independent journalist who contributes to numerous publications both in English and Kannada. She will talk about the Karnataka media. I now would like to invite Dr. Sharada to initiate the discussions. Over to you all, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Malti, for those lovely introductions. So a warm welcome to all the panelists, and you represent the regional media and you have contributed significantly to the regional media. So it's really very, I'm looking forward to a very interesting and insightful discussion. One announcement I would like to make is, please speak in whichever language you are comfortable. Whatever we can, one of us will translate it if required. We'll translate it briefly for the others who don't understand. So let language be not the bar in discussing, because what we really want is to reach out to the regional media people. And if you're comfortable in Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, whatever language, feel free to speak in that language, because I can speak only in Telugu and English. I'll stick to English because others may not understand Telugu. So to begin with, I'm very curious to know whether there is any difference in the way the regional media and national media operate. Should we start with Manjula? Is there any structural difference in the way regional media and
Ma'am, you'll have to unmute yourself, Manjula ma'am. Just unmute yourself.
You're muted, Manjula.
Host cheyachandi, unmute host cheyandi.
I'm audible now?
Yes.
Okay. According to me, there is no difference as such, in the way regional and national media function. Because national media, they reach to different people who speak different languages. It is pan-India reach they might be having. But regional media reach is also much. According to the survey, Dainik Bhaskar tops the list in circulation way. But the way we work, the way we function, it is same, both national and regional media. The day-to-day work, for example, collecting news, gathering the news, and talking to sources, and preparing reports, and then editing, reporting, page making, everything. These newsroom functions, same. National media also does the same, and regional media also does the same. But the thing is, the approach might be different, because their reach is pan-India, and regional media's audience, viewers or readers are local. But still, we mix. National media these days have their own local chapters, and regional editions. If comes to newspapers and all, they have their regional section. And then local media also takes into, they will also have international page, national page. So the functioning is same. But the thing is, as I observe, recent in these days, many national media, they are comparatively independent than regional media in their approach while expressing the commentary, opinions. They, not all, but many national media, they are more independent, and they voice the correct opinions, commentaries they give. But these days, in recent times, in regional, especially in Kannada media, especially the TV news channels, there is lot of deterioration, no media ethics at all. Lack of professionalism is glaring. So that way, they have become spokespersons for the ruling establishments. And also, while presenting the stories or writing the stories, there is no gender sensitivity at all. But this is not all. But most of the news channels and newspapers, they lack gender sensitivity. But apart from that, the working is same. That the functioning is not very different. That's what I feel.
Yep. What I would like to ask from Shahina and Loganayaki is that during our Ladli Media Award, selection and processing of the applications, we often find that regional media is very stingy in giving bylines to the writers. Most of the time, the writers, the journalists don't get a byline. Is that so, or is it only limited to a few regions? May I ask Roopa Vani and Loganayaki and Shahina to respond to that?
Yes.
Yeah, Roopa Vani, go ahead.
గత అంటే మీడియాకి సంబంధించిన డైనమిక్స్ చాలా చేంజ్ అయ్యాయి యాక్చువల్గా రీజనల్ మీడియా అని కానివ్వండి. దీంట్లో కూడా దాంట్లో కోవిడ్ ముందు కోవిడ్ తర్వాత కూడా మాట్లాడుకుంటే మనం జెండర్ సెన్సిటివిటీ అనేది న్యూస్ మీడియాలో దాని మీద ఫోకస్ చేయడానికి స్కోప్ చాలా తగ్గిపోయింది. యాక్చువల్గా ఒక మూమెంట్ ఉండింది విమెన్ ఇష్యూస్ మీద ఫైట్ చేయటము, లేకపోతే ఒక
No, I'm asking about not giving bylines. Yeah. Not I'm talking about that. దాని గురించి ఏమని చెప్తారు?
నేను అదే చెప్పుతున్నాను. ఇచ్చే మూమెంట్ లో డ్రాస్టిక్ గా ఏం జరిగింది అని అంటే ఒక మూమెంట్ జరుగుతోంది విమెన్ కి సంబంధించిన జెండర్ సెన్సిటివిటీ పైన రిపోర్ట్స్ చాలా వెళ్ళడము, ఫోకస్డ్ గా వెళ్ళడము జరుగుతున్న మూమెంట్ లో రీజనల్ మీడియాలో, పర్టికులర్ గా తెలుగు మీడియాలో ఛానల్స్ ఫ్లోటింగ్ అనేది చాలా ఎక్కువగా జరిగింది. ఛానల్స్ కానివ్వండి, మీడియాస్ కానివ్వండి, అంటే ప్రింట్ మీడియాస్ అనేది కొంచెం కాంపిటేటివ్ గా వేరే అదర్ మోటివ్స్ తో వచ్చిన మీడియాస్ రావడం స్టార్ట్ అయినప్పుడు క్వాలిటీ పీపుల్ కానివ్వండి, ఐడియాలజీ మ్యాచ్ అయ్యే పీపుల్ కానివ్వండి, ఒక ఆర్గనైజేషన్ సో వీళ్ళని దాంట్లోకి ఎంప్లాయీస్ గా తీసుకునే మూమెంట్ లో ఈ బైలైన్ ఆధారంగా గుర్తించేసి వాళ్ళు లాక్కుంటారు అన్న దీంట్లోంచి మొదలైన బైలైన్ది ఇష్యూ అనేది తర్వాత విమెన్ కి అంత ఇదిగా ఇవ్వాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు. అంటే ఒక దీంట్లో డిస్క్రిమినేషన్ లోకి మాత్రం వెళ్ళిపోయింది. బైలెన్స్ ఇవ్వడం మానేశారు ఫస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్. అండ్ రిపోర్ట్స్ కూడా స్కోప్ చాలా తగ్గిపోయాయి.
Yeah, what Roopa Vani said is that in the new context, there is less scope for writing gender sensitive stories, and also there is a certain feeling or assumption that women need not be given bylines. A certain kind of discrimination that is happening in the media, and she says this situation has got worsened during the COVID times with the more media houses reducing the space for articles and op-eds, etc., feature pages in the media. Okay, Loganayaki, would you like to say something about Tamil media? Tamil media is the hardest to crack. We hardly get any entries from Tamil media.
Can you
know,
hear
as
me,
a jury member.
Can you hear me, ma?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Actually, தமிழ்ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா அது நேஷனல் மீடியாவுக்கும் இதுக்கும் இருக்கக்கூடிய டிஃபரன்ஸ் அப்படின்னு சொன்னா, இதுல வந்து இப்போ ஒரு 80s இருந்து தான் பொதுவா விமென் ஜேர்னலிஸ்ட் எல்லாமே அதிகமா வந்துட்டு இருக்காங்க. ஸோ அது எழுதும் போது அவங்க வந்து அந்த சூஸ் பண்ற சப்ஜெக்ட்ஸ் வந்து அவங்களுக்கு எப்படி இந்த காம்படிட்டிவா என்னெல்லாம் சப்ஜெக்ட்ஸ் எழுதுனா அது உடனே ஹிட் ஆகும் மார்க்கெட்ல அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு தான் பொதுவான சப்ஜெக்ட்ஸ் எடுக்கிறாங்க. அதை எடுக்கும் போதே அந்த சப்ஜெக்ட்ஸ் தான் அதிகமா எடுக்கிறாங்க. இன்கேஸ் இப்போ ஏதாவது இப்போ நடக்கக்கூடிய இப்போ ஏதாவது இந்த மாதிரி இப்போ டெல்லி அந்த உன்னுடைய நிர்பயா ரேப் கேஸ் ஆர் இங்க பொள்ளாச்சியில நடந்த இந்த கேஸ், அது போல விஷயங்கள்லாம் கூட அவங்க எழுதும் போது அதோடைய அந்த அந்த இவங்க நம்ம இதுக்கு முன்னாடி பேசினாங்க இல்லையா, அவங்க சொன்ன மாதிரி அந்த அவங்களுடைய அந்த ஃபோக்கஸ் அல்லது அவங்க வந்து எதுல வந்து அவங்க வந்து எது பண்ணுனா ஈஸியா வந்து ரீச் ஆகும் அப்படிங்கறதப்போ அவங்க வந்து அந்த சப்ஜெக்ட்ல வந்து எது அந்த விஷயங்களை வந்து அதிகமா எப்படி நடந்தது, என்ன மாதிரியான இந்த விஷயங்கள்லாம் நடந்தது அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு அவங்க வந்து அதிகமா அதுலதான் அந்த ஃபோக்கஸ் இருக்கே தவிர மற்றபடி வந்து அவங்களுக்கு வந்து விமென் எழுதுறது அப்படிங்கிறது அதான் காம்படிட்டிவா இருக்கிறதுனால அவங்க வந்து அவங்களும் சேர்ந்துதான் அதை எழுதுறாங்க. அந்த சென்சிட்டிவிட்டி அப்படிங்கிறது ஜெண்டர் சென்சிட்டிவிட்டி அப்படிங்கிற விஷயங்கள்ல அவ்வளவு கவனங்கள் இல்லை அப்படிங்கறத என்னுடைய கருத்து.
Yeah, Anuja, would you be able to briefly translate it? Well, whatever you understood.
Yes, thanks, Loganayaki. Well, from what I understood, I think Loganayaki mentioned that, the regional media has seen more women come into the media since the 80s. And, the media has been portraying or has been writing women-related or women-centric stories, but does not really look at using a gender lens to view their stories. Right? It's not
right,
about
yeah.
how every story can be written from the perspective of how it impacts men and women differently. While there are stories on women's empowerment, but not really something of, how every story can have a differential impact on women. If there's anything that I've left out, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Shahina? Shahina is from Malayali media, so
You're muted. You'll have to unmute yourself, Shahina.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, first of all, let me make it clear. I'm not working in the regional media. I work with the Federal, which is an English digital platform. But I worked 10 years in digital, in regional media. The first 10 years of my career I was in regional media. I was with a television channel called Asianet. So, and also I engage with people here. So, and also I watch and observe. So, I'm talking in that capacity only. First of all, with regard to this byline issue, in Malayalam, actually, it's not a big major issue for one reason. Particularly, the scope of freelancing is very limited in Malayalam. Like, of course, there are freelancers, they do write, but the payment is very low. I'm sorry. the payment is package is very poor in Malayalam. Freelancing. So whoever does freelancing, they get byline. That's what I understand. So the byline issue is not a very serious thing in Malayalam. But I mean, when we come to this gender sensitivity in reporting, I really want to point out a few things. Even today and this yesterday and this previous days, it's such an eventful week in Kerala. Even today also, as some of you may be aware that the case of this abduction and rape on a film actor, which is a very a popular South Indian actor, that case is in the final phase of investigation, and there are a lot of things, twists and turns happening in that case. So everyone is so tightly engaged.
You're muted, Shahina. You're muted. Shahina, you're muted.
Now, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I got yeah, okay. So now I think precisely for this reason, this is the right time to talk about gender sensitivity in Malayalam media. I want to begin with a recent incident in which another young woman, a girl acting in a new actor, an upcoming actor in Malayalam cinema, she raised a Me Too allegation against a producer, actor, director kind of a person. His name is Vijay Babu. She wrote a Facebook note in a Facebook page called WASH, Women Against Sexual Harassment. You may be familiar with that Facebook page, WASH. She wrote a Facebook note explaining how she was exploited, how she was sexually exploited by this person, and how long it went, and the kind of trauma that she faced, and how she suffered and all. Then the next day, this actor came on Facebook Live and he disclosed her name. And his logic, his reasoning was that if she can say my name, then why can't I do that? And he exposed her name, and he raised all these things like it was a consensual relationship, and also now she is trying to blackmail, etc., etc. The same kind of explanations given by all the predators who are caught in all these Me Too allegations. But my point is not about what this man did, but my point is how the media handled it. When this live was going on, I mean, on this in the same time, at the same time, this online Malayalam media started uploading stories about this particular actor, this woman, this girl. There is no reference about any sexual harassment, nothing. But the stories are like, let us meet this young actor. She acted in so and so film, and this is her background, and these are the upcoming projects. Just like introducing this woman. So when you Google down her name, you get hundreds of stories about her. This story is not about sexual harassment. This story is not about what this man has done to her. The story is about this woman, this actor, an upcoming actor, a young girl, and also a lot of photographs too. All on a sudden, she was not a popular actor. She acted in 1 or 2 films only. I watched one film, but I didn't even remember her. So people generally have this tendency to go and Google. Soon after this man did this Facebook Live, everyone goes to Google and everybody gets the complete details of this woman, including photographs. That's the way the online Malayalam media handled this. Of course, the mainstream media like Asianet or whatever, the mainstream media did not participate in this game of exposing this woman, but still 1 or 2 mainstream media carried such stories, but they withdrew that. So this is one example on how a gender issue is being handled in Malayalam media.
And we'll come to that. Basically we are focusing on women journalists in media,
okay,
and how they are how they are being sidelined or invisibilized in media. That is the focus of the current discussion. So we can talk about this part a bit later.
Okay.
Satyavati, I just want to ask you, like now, I see a tendency that individual journalists are starting their own YouTube channels, and then they are doing their own blogs, and they are using the website. Particularly women, I find most of them are having their own kind of a channel or a means of communicating with the people. And I find that some of their stories are really very good. I have been seeing some stories in Hindi, Odia, and Telugu. I've been following. And so, is this another way of sustaining the regional media journalism?
Yeah. Good evening to all. Yeah. అంటే నేను కొంచెం తెలుగు ఇంగ్లీష్ మిక్స్ చేసి మాట్లాడతాను. మీరు చెప్పిన పాయింట్ కి తప్పకుండా సోషల్ మీడియా అనేది ఇప్పుడు ఒక వేదిక అయింది అందరికి. యూట్యూబ్స్ కానీ, ఫేస్బుక్ కానీ, వాట్సాప్ కానీ. ఎందుకంటే రీజనల్ పేపర్స్ లో కూడా ఎక్కడ స్పేస్ అనేది లేదు. ఇప్పుడు ఇక్కడున్న తెలుగు మీడియా అంతా కూడా డామినేటెడ్ బై కార్పొరేట్స్ అండ్ బిజినెస్ పీపుల్. The space for women or children or children issues, Dalit issues, they are shrinking. We are not able to get any space in Telugu papers. That's why we are not getting any good entries for Ladli also. Last year, I read so many good stories when I was jury in selecting the entries in other languages, maybe in English. So the scope and their vision is very good. They are going everywhere for stories and searching for good stories, sensitive stories. In Telugu, there is no space for, as Vanaja told, there is no space for good stories, research oriented, or some interesting stories. That is the very pathetic condition in Telugu media, because all the media houses are now dominated by corporates. Corporates they concentrate only on their money and profits, profit oriented media. They are not interested in women issues or any oppressed issues or transgender issues or anything. That's why so many people are now independently, they are starting their own YouTube channels, and they are giving good stories. For example, we can see Tulasi Chandu, one of our awardee, Ladli awardee, and Vangapalli Padma. They are doing very good stories in YouTubes. That is the that is the way we can go and express ourselves. The Facebook is also there. We can write there. So we may not get any good stories from Telugu media. That is for sure. Because I am only Andhra Jyoti has a regional literary paper, or Sunday they will publish only one story. Remaining is all అంతా ఏమంటారు చెత్త అనాలంటే ఏముండదు దాంట్లో, ఫర్ ఎంటర్టైన్మెంట్, ఫర్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్. సో in my opinion, this shift to social media is good. We can express ourselves, we can write whatever we want. There is no limit, or there is no control over us to write anything. Because when the Telugu journalists or journalists, they want to write a good story with gender sensitivity, the feature will be cut into pieces. They will be edited, and they will be they will reject also sometimes. Some stories even they sent to Bhumika also. When they rejected in the mainstream media, we published so many stories. So Sharada, in my opinion, this shift is very good.
Yeah, because I have seen some really good stories, very what I would say against, like they're quite challenging stories done by
Yes.
people, going to remote areas, covering stories.
Yeah.
I find that it is, particularly for women, I think it is providing space. And
Yes.
I would now like to ask our panelists one thing, when we see that there is less coverage of gender issues or even good journalistic writing in regional media, is it because there are, the quality of the journalists who enter the regional media, their educational backgrounds, or even their opportunities to learn new things, attend workshops, seminars, get fellowships, etc., or the in-house training programs, to educate them on various issues of development or even various types of, issues that they could work on, is lacking in regional media. Does the regional media really invest in developing the skills and knowledge of of their employees? What kind of mechanisms are available? So, Manjula, who, like somebody said?
Yes.
No, myself.
Actually,
Yeah. Please go on.
hello.
Yeah, Manjula, please go on.
Regional media, it is true that there is shortage of talent and lack of exposure, and there is not much invested in training the people who come to their organization. That is there, but except it cannot be generalized. In PRAJAVANI, actually, once internee enters the newsroom, they will be provided the training, for some months they will be accustomed to the way they have to work, and this sensitization will also be the part of that that text where this training is imparted. But many organizations, this is an exception, and even fellowships, and also many Kannada journalists have got NFI fellowship, for example. So many Kannada journalists have also got those kinds of fellowships, and they have written many articles on panchayat women and child marriages, farmer suicides. On such topics, lot of articles have been come because of the NFI fellowship, and Kannada journalists have got. But it is not true with all organizations. Only a few journalists, a few organizations are investing on their journalists to become more professional and write on various kinds of things, because the society has to, it is made up of both genders, not only both genders. We have sexual minorities also, so we have to heed their aspirations also, and their stories also have to get reflected in the media. Then only we will have the meaning of democracy. Being the fourth pillar of democracy, the media has the responsibility towards this. But regional media, almost most of the medias, they have this lacking, and journalists who enter this profession, they come with the baggage of these cultural prejudices against women. Even in good reputed publications also, when Mangalore pub incident happened, the way it got reported in the print media, it was like, why women went to pub? Why they, that means women do not have, they do not have the right to enjoy their leisure. That is the cultural problem, cultural prejudices. Those prejudices had come and they had become moralistic while writing the report itself. Even while reporting rape incidents also, this moralistic tone, that gets dominated in news presentation and even in TV, presentations also. This moralistic tone and blaming the, victim or survivor.
Do you feel this is because of
This is because
lack
of lack
of exposure of the
exposure,
regional
and
media
that has to be
to,
taken.
to various, the emerging new ways of looking at or feminist perspectives, right?
That has to be addressed.
Over to you. Shahina?
Okay. Okay. No, I was just wondering, with this victim blaming, is it a regional issue or a global issue?
Global.
Actually, it's a global issue, I think.
Maybe it is
Yeah,
more in
it's
the
everywhere.
regional media.
I don't know. I am really skeptical. When we watch this national television channels and all, this victim blaming is always there. That's what I understand. That is one thing. Second thing, this regarding the exposure and lack of training and all in regional media. Of course, I think of course there is a lack of opportunities, especially training and capacity building. And also, I mean, after this 2018 flood in Kerala, I did a kind of survey by myself. I called up the reporters who were on field, who were reporting the flood, and also the editors of television channels who were sitting in the decision-making chairs. I called a few of them, and I asked these reporters whether they received any kind of counseling or any kind of mental health support after they were reporting the flood. They were standing in the water for 3-4 days, and they came back to reporting, and they are starting the next day as if nothing had happened. And also Kerala had started facing this kind of a climate change since 2016, and on a fine morning the reporters went to the field and started reporting climate change. The question is whether they have any expertise in reporting climate change, whether they have received any training in reporting climate change. Hardly not. So I asked them, what do you really mean by red alert, yellow alert, green alert, or whatever alert? What all these things exactly mean? How do you communicate it to the people? Heavy rain, heavy to heavy rain, extremely heavy rain, these are all are very, very different. And the question is how the reporter is communicating this to the ordinary people in a language which they understand. Actually, none of them has received any training on this. That is one thing. Secondly, these reporters, these journalists in the field, they do not get any kind of support. They do not get any kind of counseling after reporting such a disaster, such a natural disaster. They come back and they continue the work, which puts a lot of pressure on them. Many of them had gone to depression, after standing in the rain for days and days. So this is just an example. So the regional media really, really need that kind of a support. But I don't know whether the national media has some kind of a regular program of providing, training and all. I don't know. I'm very skeptical about it. But the regional media, definitely, I know they do not have it. They need it. That's what I understand. And one more point I want to add. This was about individual journalists starting their own YouTube channels and websites and all. Of course, it's very good up to an extent, but I have a problem beyond an extent. Is there a check and balance system? Like, is there an editor? Is there a filtering process? If every individual is coming up with a YouTube channel, of course, in the case of an established journalist, we all welcome it. We all watch it. We all rely on it. But everybody can start a YouTube channel. Now, this difference between this trained journalism and the non-trained journalism is very blurred. Everybody is starting YouTube channels and all. So there is no filtering process. So media is becoming social media. The difference between media and social media is like it's almost someone's mic is not okay. So the regional media, sorry, not the regional media. I'm talking about the media and social media are the same now. I think there is a problem with that.
Point actually that the line between media and social media is blurring. And also the point about having certain checks and balances, like some papers, like for instance, Mint and other papers have a gender editor. they have a guest editor who looks at the content. I think that is the privilege of those big papers and publications. But at the regional level, I feel that it is still missing. Roopa Vani, you worked in media directly also. So what is your experience like?
షహీనా చెప్పినట్టుగా ముందు ఆ పాయింట్ లో సోషల్ మీడియా దీంట్లోకి వెళ్తే అక్కడ కంట్రోల్స్ అనేవి అసలు లేవు. ఫస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ జర్నలిజం అనే ఆస్పెక్ట్ లో ఎవరి కన్వీనియంట్ ని బట్టి వాళ్ళు వీడియోస్ చేస్తున్నారు. అది ఒకటి పెడితే ముందు గ్రౌండ్ రియాలిటీస్ గురించి మనం మాట్లాడుకోవాలి. ఒక స్టోరీ బయలైన వెళ్ళినా లేకపోతే ఒక రిపోర్ట్ వెళ్ళాలి అని అనుకున్నా కూడా ఫస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ ఆ స్పేస్ కానీ ఆ పర్స్పెక్టివ్ అనేది అది మారాలి. సో ఇప్పుడు అంతా కూడా ఆ పర్సెప్షన్ ఎలా ఉంది అని అంటే సేలబుల్ కంటెంట్. ఏది సేలబుల్ కంటెంట్ అంటే విమెన్ అనేది కష్టాలు లేదా వాళ్ళకి సంబంధించిన ఇష్యూస్ అనేది సేలబుల్ కంటెంట్ కాదు వాళ్ళ రోజున మీడియా దృష్టిలో. సో వాళ్ళకి సెన్సేషన్ కావాలి. సెన్సేషన్ అని అంటే ఒక అమ్మాయికి సంబంధించిన ఎక్స్ట్రా మ్యారిటల్ లైఫ్ అనుకోండి, దాన్ని తీసుకొచ్చి పెట్టడానికి దాన్ని జెండర్ సెన్సిటివిటీ అని ఫీల్ అవుతున్నారు. లేదా విమెన్ కి సంబంధించిన ఇంటలెక్చువాలిటీని ఎక్స్పోజ్ చేయడానికి రెడీగా లేరు. స్కిన్ షో అంటే అక్కడ కార్పొరేట్ లాని ఎలా ఉపయోగించుకుంటున్నారు అని అంటే 18 to 30% విమెన్ ఉండాలి మీడియా హౌసెస్ లో. బట్ వాళ్ళు ఎలా తీసుకుంటున్నారంటే హౌస్ కీపింగ్ కొంత రేషియో ఇచ్చుకుంటున్నారు, డెస్క్ కొంత ఇచ్చుకుంటున్నారు, స్కిన్ కి అంటే యాంకరింగ్ అనేది లేకపోతే వీటికి సంబంధించిన గ్లామరీ షోకి మాత్రమే ఉపయోగిస్తున్నారు. బ్రెయిన్ కి అనేది ఆల్మోస్ట్ 0 దగ్గరకు తీసుకొచ్చారనే చెప్పుకోవాలి. ఎందుకని అని అంటే అసలు రిపోర్ట్ చేయడానికి మీరు వెళ్ళి ఛాలెంజెస్ మాట్లాడడానికి ముందు అసలు స్కోపే లేకుండా చేసినప్పుడు మనం చూసే విధానం కూడా మారిపోతుంది. సో మీరు అన్నట్లుగా శిక్షణ తరగతులు ఇవి అనుకునేది మనం దీనికి వెళ్ళాలి అనుకున్నప్పుడు, మీడియా హౌసెస్కి వెళ్దాం అనుకున్నప్పుడు ఎవరికి మీరు నేర్పించాలి, మనం ఎవరికి నేర్పించాలి అనడానికి మీకు అక్కడ స్పేసే తీసివేసే పరిస్థితి కనిపిస్తుంది మనకి ఇప్పుడు. ఇప్పుడు చాలా ఎక్కువగా రేషియో అనేది సోషల్ మీడియాలో ప్లాట్ఫామ్స్ పెరిగినప్పుడు ఒకవేళ వీలైతే కనుక వారికి కనుక ఒక ట్రైనింగ్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ కనుక కాల్ఫర్ చేసి లేదు ఇలా వెళ్ళాలి, ఇక్కడ సెన్సిటివిటీ ఇలా ఉండాలి, ఇక్కడ ఇలా ఉండాలి అనే విషయాన్ని కనుక చేయగలిగితే కనుక ఇది చాలా బాగుంటుంది. ఎందుకంటే మీడియా అది వ్యాపక పెరిగినప్పుడు, దాని ప్లేస్ పెరిగినప్పుడు, సోషల్ మీడియా అనేది ఇదైనప్పుడు అక్కడ కంట్రోల్స్ రావాలి అనే ఈ రకమైన యాక్టివిటీస్ కనుక మన నుంచి వెళ్ళగలిగితే కనుక చాలా బాగుంటుంది అనేది నా ఉద్దేశం.
Okay, thanks, Roopa Vani. What Roopa has said is that it is true that the space has shrunk, and she says that the corporate media houses are using the law in a very distorted way, and she says though there is a rule that 30% of the employees should be women, they are using they're employing women mostly in housekeeping and as reporters and other positions which are not really involved with the journalism. So journalism is continuing to be dominated by men. And she also said that there is less space given to women's issues, and whenever women's issues are dealt with, they are more in the sense, more for sensationalizing the sexuality of the woman or to project her in a very eye-catching fashion. So that is what she says, and she feels that it is very important to have training programs for journalists writing, online on social media also, and that's a suggestion that she has given us. Correct, Chapana, Roopa? Did I miss out anything?
Yes.
Loganayaki, over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. இங்க நீங்க சொன்ன மாதிரி இந்த மாதிரி
I really want to know why Tamil media does not respond, because it's been for 12 years I've been observing it.
Definitely.
I know you're not answerable to us, but yeah, just
can you hear me?
Yeah,
it's a problem to me. Okay, டெஃபினட்டாவே இங்க வந்து நீங்க அந்த மாதிரியான ஒரு ட்ரைனிங் ப்ரோக்ராம் ஜேர்னலிஸ்ட்க்கு இருந்த நல்ல விஷயம்தான். நான் சொல்றது இந்த தமிழ் இல்ல. என்னன்னா இப்போ நான் ஏற்கனவே சொன்ன மாதிரி அந்த ரொம்ப அவங்க அந்த ஏற்கனவே சொல்லியிருக்காங்க, இவங்க பேசினவங்களும் சொல்லியிருக்காங்க, நிறைய கார்ப்பரேட் இதுதான் இங்க இந்த ஐ மீன் மேகசின்ஸோ இல்லை எனி மீடியா வந்து பெரும்பாலும் வந்து கார்பரேட்டோட இருக்கிறதுனால அவங்க வந்து ஒரு காம்படிட்டிவா அவங்க எது ஹிட் ஆகும், எது வந்து நல்லா போகும் அப்படிங்கறதுல தான் அவங்களுடைய கவனம் எல்லாம் இருக்கு. ஸோ இதுல என்னன்னா புதுசா இங்க வர்றாங்க, ஒரு ஜேர்னலிஸ்ட் ஒரு லேடி வர்றாங்க அப்படின்னு சொன்னா, அந்த ஃபீல்டுக்கு வர்றாங்க அப்படின்னு சொன்னா, அவங்க வந்து அந்த அளவுல அவங்க எழுதுறாங்களா, நல்லா எழுதுறாங்களா அப்படிங்கறது மட்டும்தான் அவங்க வந்து பாக்குறாங்க. அவங்க வந்து இந்த விமன் இஷ்யூஸோ அல்லது வந்து ஜெண்டர் சென்சிட்டிவிட்டி சம்பந்தப்பட்ட அந்த இஷ்யூஸோ அவங்க எழுதுறாங்களா அப்படிங்கறதுல பெரும்பாலான நிறுவனங்களுக்கு வந்து கவலை கிடையாது அதுல. அதனால இவங்க என்னன்னா இவங்களுக்கு வந்து அந்த முன்னால இருக்கக்கூடியவங்க, இவங்களுக்கு முன்னால எழுதினவங்க வந்து இந்த ஆண்கள் அப்படிங்கறதுனால இவங்களுக்கு வந்து அதுல அது போல நாம எழுதணும் அப்படிங்கறதுலதான் அவங்க வந்து அதை ஃபாலோ பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க பெரும்பாலும். அப்புறம் இப்போ இருக்கக்கூடிய சூழ்நிலையில நீங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா ஒரே நிறுவனத்துல ஒரு ஒர்க் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க அப்படின்லாம் சொல்ல முடியாது. கொஞ்ச நாள் ஒரு இதுல ஒர்க் பண்றாங்க அண்ட் நிறுவனமே சிலர் வந்து வெளியில அனுப்பிச்சிடுது. அண்ட் இப்ப இருக்கக்கூடிய கொரோனா சூழல்ல இல்லைன்னா அவங்களே வந்து கொஞ்ச நாள் ஒரு மேகசின் ஆபீஸ், ஒரு மீடியா, இல்லைன்னா கொஞ்ச நாள் இன்னொரு மீடியா அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு அவங்க ஷிஃப்ட் ஆயிட்டே இருக்காங்க. அதனால என்னன்னா அந்த ரெஸ்பான்சிபிலிட்டி டு அந்த இது இருக்கு இல்லையா, அந்த பப்ளிஷிங் ஹவுஸ், அவங்க அந்த மீடியா ஹவுஸ் அவங்களுக்கு வந்து இவங்களுக்கு நாம ஏன் ட்ரெயின் பண்ணணுங்கிற அந்த ஒரு ரெஸ்பான்சிபிலிட்டி அவங்களுக்கு கிடையாது, அவங்களுக்கு வர்றதில்ல. சோ அதனால இவங்க வந்து தனிப்பட்ட நபர்களா அவங்க வந்து அது வந்து அந்த இதை எடுத்துட்டு அவங்க பண்ணினாதான் உண்டு. இல்லைன்னா இது போல ஒரு ட்ரைனிங் அந்த விஷயங்கள்ல வந்து இந்த ட்ரைனிங் ப்ரோக்ராம்ஸ் இருந்தால் அவங்க வந்து இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் இந்த விஷயத்துல ஒரு சென்சிட்டிவான ஒரு எழுத்து அவங்களால தர முடியும்.
Yeah, over to Anuja now.
Yeah, thanks, Loganayaki. Well, the first thing she mentioned was that she does agree with what Roopa mentioned and said that, there is very little exposure and training for people in the Tamil media, in the regional media. The second thing she mentioned was very critical. She said that corporate media houses only look at what sells, and what sells is sensationalism and not sensitivity. So that is something she put up front. She also said that, while efforts are being made to get more women into journalism, what is emphasized is that whether they will cover generic stories, there is no emphasis of corporate media houses to look at if they cover stories from a gender perspective. So that was the third point she made. She also talked of the high turnover, within media houses, and said that, because of this high turnover, a lot of the media houses are not focusing on, professional enhancement of, people working there. And this is something that she really emphasized, that, if you need to report from a particular perspective or report with sensitivity, you need to train media people. Loganayaki, I hope I've been able to capture what you said.
Thank you.
We have in our audience Sugita from Tamil media. So Sugita, would you like to add something to it? Sugita, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening. Yeah,
Good evening
please go
to
ahead.
all. Yeah. ஆக்சுவலி நீங்க இங்க பேசினதுல இருந்து, நீங்க ரைஸ் பண்ண கொஸ்டின்ஸ்ல இருந்து தமிழ் மீடியா எப்படி ஒர்க் பண்ணுது, சேட்டலைட் மீடியாவில இருந்து என்னோட எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸை நான் ஷேர் பண்றேன். நம்பர் ஆஃப் விமன் இன் மீடியா வந்து ரொம்ப கம்மி. இன்னும் சொல்ல போனா அவங்களோட லைஃப் டைம் இன் மீடியாங்கிறது வந்து இன்னும் ரொம்ப கம்மியா இருக்கு, லெசரா தான் இருக்கு. 2007ல இருந்து நான் மெயின் ஸ்ட்ரீம் மீடியாவில் இருக்கேன். ஆனா இன்னைக்கு என்னோட பேட்ச்ல திரும்பி பார்த்தா யாருமே இல்லை. நான் ஒரே ஒரு ஆள் ஃபைட் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன் அப்படிங்கிறது வந்து ரொம்ப வருத்தத்தோட நான் இந்த இடத்துல அதை ஷேர் பண்றேன். ஒன் மோர் திங் வந்து ஜெண்டர் பே கேப் வந்து ரொம்ப பெரிய அளவுல இருக்கு. அதாவது வந்து மென்னுக்கு கொடுக்கறதுல இருந்து 50% கூட வந்து விமென்க்கு கொடுக்க மாட்டாங்க. இவ்வளோ எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் ஆயும் ஒரு ஹையரார்கியில வந்து நமக்கு ஒரு ரோல் கிடைக்கிறதுங்கிறது வந்து விமென்க்கு வந்து அவ்வளோ ஒரு டாஸ்க் இன் தமிழ் மீடியா அப்படிங்கிறதையும் நான் இந்த இடத்துல சொல்றேன். அசோசியேட் எடிட்டர் அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு டாஸ்கை நான் கிராஸ் பண்றதுக்கு எனக்கு 16 இயர்ஸ் ஆச்சு. ஆனா அதே ஒரு மென்னா இருந்தா 5 to 6 இயர்ஸ்லயே வந்து ஒரு ஜாயிண்ட் எடிட்டர், அசோசியேட் எடிட்டர் அப்படிங்கிற பொசிஷனுக்கு அடுத்தடுத்து மூவ் ஆயிடுவாங்க. 9 இயர்ஸ் வந்து நான் ஒரே ஒரு டெசிக்னேஷன்ல இருந்தேன். ஸ்பெஷல் கரஸ்பாண்டன்ட்ங்கிற அந்த சேம் டெசிக்னேஷன்லயே 9 இயர்ஸ் நான் கிராஸ் பண்ணியிருக்கேன். பட் அதுக்கு இன்பிட்வீன் 3 லார்ட்லி மீடியாஸை வாங்கியிருக்கேன், அவார்டா வாங்கியிருக்கேன் நான் அந்த டைம்ல தான் நான். சோ இதுதான் தமிழ் மீடியாவுடைய ஒரு நிலைமை. இன்னைக்கு இருக்கிற சுச்சுவேஷன் அப்படிதான் இருக்கு. அப்புறம் ஒரு நியூஸ் ரூம் எப்படி இருக்கு அப்படின்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா மென் சென்ட்ரிக்கா தான் அவங்க யோசிக்கிறாங்க. அந்த பிரச்சனை எப்படின்னா அது லோகநாயகி மேம் சொன்ன மாதிரி அதுக்கு முன்னாடி அங்க இருந்துட்டு போனவங்க எல்லாருமே நியூஸ் டெஸ்க்ல விமனோடைய ரோல் ரொம்ப ரொம்ப கம்மி, அதுவும் எடிட்டோரியல் போர்டுல இன்னும் ரொம்ப ரொம்ப கம்மியா இருக்கும். சோ நீங்க போய் ஒரு விக்டிமோட ஃபேஸ மாஸ்க் பண்ணுங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்றதுக்கே வந்து இப்பதான் ஒரு தமிழ் மீடியா வந்து ஒரு 2 இயர்ஸா தான் அந்த அவேர்னஸே வந்திருக்கு. ஒரு ரேப் விக்டிமோட ஃபேஸ காமிக்க கூடாது, ஒரு சூசைட வந்து அப்படியே காமிக்க கூடாது, ஒரு சைல்டு விக்டிமா அப்படியே காமிக்க கூடாது. இப்ப புதுசா இதெல்லாம் நாங்க ஃபைட் பண்ணி கொஞ்சம் மாத்திருக்கோம். சோ இன்னும் புதுசா இப்ப சொல்லணும்னா இப்ப ஒரு டொனேஷனுக்காக ஒரு பேரண்ட் இறந்த 2 குழந்தைங்களுக்கு டொனேஷன் கவர் பண்ணா அந்த குழந்தைங்களை அப்படியே காமிப்பாங்க. காமிக்க கூடாதுன்னு சொன்னா அது நல்ல விஷயத்துக்காக தானே நம்ம பண்றோம் அப்படின்னு நம்ம கிட்டயே பேசுவாங்க. இப்படி இதுக்கெல்லாம் நம்ம ஃபைட் பண்ண வேண்டியதா இருக்கும். அந்த குழந்தையோட ஃபியூச்சர் வரைக்கும் அது டிராவல் ஆகும். ஒரு ஃபண்டிங் சேரிட்டில படிக்கிற குழந்தைன்னு எல்லா இடத்துலயும் எஸ்டாப்ளிஷ் ஆகும். அதனால அதை காமிக்க கூடாது. இப்படி எல்லாம் சொல்றதுக்கே இங்க வந்து நம்ம பெரிய ஃபைட் பண்ணிக்கிட்டே இருக்கணும் நம்ம நியூஸ் ரூம்ல. அதுவும் சேட்டலைட் மீடியாவில வந்து இந்த ஃபைட்டுங்கிறது நியூஸ் ரூம் வந்து ஒரு வார் ரூமா தான் இருக்கும். அதுவும் ஜெண்டர் பெர்ஸ்பெக்டிவ் பேச போனோம்னா அவ்வளவு பிரச்சனை வரும். ஃபைனலா இப்ப ஃபெலோஷிப்காக என்னோட ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஆர்டிகிள எஸ்டர்டே போஸ்ட் பண்ணேன். அதை என் ஃபேஸ்புக் பேஜ்ல போஸ்ட் பண்ணேன். அதுக்கு கீழே அவ்வளவு பேர் திட்டுறாங்க. வழக்கமா நான் ஒரு பொலிட்டிக்கல் டிபேட் பண்ணாலும் கீழே வந்து நிறைய பேர் திட்டுவாங்க. அதே ஆண்கள் இங்க பொலிட்டிக்கல் டிபேட் பண்ணா திட்ட மாட்டாங்க, பெண்கள் பண்ணா திட்டுவாங்க. சோ இதெல்லாம் இவ்வளவு ஸ்டிக்மாஸை கிராஸ் பண்ணி தான் நாம இந்த இடத்துக்கு வரணும். அதே மாதிரி நாம ஒரு விஷயத்த பேசணும், டபுள் ப்ரிப்பரேஷன் பண்ணிட்டு பேசணும், நிறைய ஹார்ட் ஒர்க் போடணும். ஆனா அவங்க எல்லாரும் வந்து சும்மா வந்து பேசினாலே பெஸ்ட் ஜேர்னலிஸ்ட் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிடுவாங்க. சோ இவ்வளவு ஸ்டிக்மாஸ் வந்து விமன் ஜேர்னலிஸ்ட்க்கு தமிழ் மீடியால இருக்கு அப்படிங்கறத இங்க ஷேர் பண்ணிக்கிறேன். தேங்க்யூ ஃபார் திஸ் ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டி.
Thanks, Sugita.
Thanks, Sugita. So what Sugita mentioned was that there are very few women in media, especially in Tamil media. She said you find women more at entry and middle levels, but you find very, very few women at the top levels, you know, whether it's on the editorial board or in newsrooms. It's very, very little. It's very, very less. There are women, but they are at the entry level. She also talked of the lifespan of women in media. She says they have a very short lifespan. There are several pressures because of which women have to leave media houses. And one of the key pressures is the huge gender gap in payments that men and women journalists get. She says women are paid 50% lower than men. I mean, my heart just broke when I heard that. I'm just adding my thing. And I think this is something that we all need to write and cover in the media. She also mentioned that it's extremely difficult for women journalists to move up the ladder. She says she's been in the same position for 9 years and won 3 Ladli Media Awards during this time. And if it were a man in her place, probably in 4 to 5 years, he would have gone up the ladder. She also said, she compared newsrooms to war rooms and said that newsrooms, editorial boards are all male-centric. She says there's a huge battle that we need to fight when it comes to reporting on gender and, sexual violence, especially when you're reporting on, survivors of rape. She says even small things like masking the face of the survivor, there's a big argument as to why that needs to be done. And she says a lot of people, in fact, say that, if you do not mask the face of the survivors, it would help them get compensation. So, that was generally what she mentioned. I hope I translated it appropriately. She also mentioned another thing that, if you write a gender sensitive article or you write a gender sensitive blog, there would be a lot of people from within your community who would make comments on this and say that there is something very inappropriate in that. So she says, when women write, we need to be doubly sure and we need to prepare very hard, have our data and facts in place absolutely. So thanks for this. I hope I was okay. If I've
Thanks, Anuja. That's really interesting.
Thank you. You are translating very well.
Before we bring this conversation to an end, I want each one of you to please, we'll start with Satyavati, to give one action point for population first. What should we do to address the issues that we have discussed so far? And before Satyavati starts, I would like to share with you one of the studies that we have done about coverage of abortion and sex selection in media. And we covered regional media, the national media, and the web media like Scroll and all those papers, print and other papers. And we found that in the regional media, the coverage was very incident specific. When there is a raid, when they find a fetus on the road or in the garbage, there is a certain reporting done with lot of blaming of the woman. And then there was nothing much in terms of analysis or educating the readers about the law or whatever it is. Those were very, very incident specific. When it came to the national newspapers, we found that there is some analysis, there is some insight, some opinion pieces, and but it was not really, the reporting was better. It put the incident in perspective, but there wasn't much in-depth analysis of the issue. But when it came to the web pages, we found that there was a lot that was written about, and these articles were written by activists like us, or policy makers, or senior editors and senior people. And so there was a lot more depth, and there was a lot more space dedicated to write on the issue. And so they were more holistic articles. So maybe it is the freedom from editorial constraints, space that is available, and the quality of the journalists who write for these papers, which is responsible for it. But there is a clear difference in the way the same issue of sex selection or abortion is dealt in the regional media and the national media and the web media, so web publications. So this, I would just, I just wanted to share it with you. And now Satyavati, one advice or one action point for us. And you can sum up and comment on whatever has been said also.
Yeah. My concern is on trainings only. Lack of gender sensitized trainings, they in Telugu, mostly they are not happening. I am also concerned about the role of Press Academy. The Press Academy's role is to sensitize general journalists or gender sensitized trainings. They are silent always. They have to train the rural journalists and producing material and giving to journalists the standards, language, writing, and sensitivity, use of words, use of so many norms are there. But the Press Academy is silent because of the big media houses. They are concentrated on maybe some real estate. Once Saina told, now media is not a fourth estate, it's a real estate. He quoted in exactly what is happening here. So they don't have any concern about sensitivity, women issues, transgender issues, anybody's issues. Only profit-oriented media houses are there. That is my concern. We have to target on this issue. And when we wrote all the media houses to constitute internal committees, nobody responded. No, there are no internal committees in any media house. Only Express is having, Indian Express. I am the member in Indian Express IC committee. Except Express, there are no committees. So we have to concentrate on all these issues. Trainings and constitution of IC committees. Directly, we have to interact with the media houses. Not
one point add cheyachcha Satyavati madam,
అంటే
ఒక గైడ్లైన్స్, ఒక కమిటీ ఏర్పడి గైడ్లైన్స్ స్ట్రిక్ట్లీ అప్లైయింగ్ గానే దీంట్లో మీడియా హౌసెస్ పైన ఇంతవరకు కంట్రోలింగ్ అథారిటీస్ లేవు కదా. ఒక కమిటీ ఏర్పడి అసలు ఇది ఎందుకు చేస్తున్నారు, ఇది ఎందుకు అని క్వశ్చన్ చేసే వాళ్ళు ఎవరు లేరు యాక్చువల్ గా. సో అది ఏదన్నా ఒకటి ఈ ప్లాట్ఫామ్ ద్వారా ఏర్పడితే కనుక బాగుంటుందేమో అనేది నా ఆలోచన. అండ్ ఒక ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ మీతో షేర్ అది దీని తర్వాత మీరు అంటే మీకు తెలిసిన వాళ్ళే కాబట్టి
అది కంప్లీట్ అయిపోనివ్వండి.
మీ టాపిక్ రిలేటెడే అందుకనే అన్నా అన్నమాట.
అంటే ఇంకొక పాయింట్ ఉంది నాకు. When Srireddy issue happened, everybody knows here, Srireddy issue happened. After that issue, the committee was constituted. We are part of all the committees. So we organized so many meetings with journalists and film fellows. Journalists, they shared horrible experiences. Horrible. The prime channels, from prime channels, how women are suffering from sexual harassment. How they have to change the positions, ఈ ఛానల్ నుంచి ఆ ఛానల్ కి షిఫ్ట్ అవ్వడము, ఇవన్నీ కూడా చాలా జరుగుతున్నాయి. అంటే వాళ్ళు ఎవరో తెలుసు, పర్పట్రేటర్ తెలుసు, రెస్పాండెంట్ ఎవరు తెలుసు, బట్ దే ఆర్ నాట్ ఏబుల్ టు రిపోర్ట్. దెర్ ఈస్ నో ఐసీ కమిటీ. సో ఇన్ మై ఒపీనియన్ వీ హ్యావ్ టు కాన్సన్ట్రేట్, మై పాయింట్ ఈస్ కాన్సన్ట్రేట్ ఆన్ దీస్ ఇష్యూస్, సెక్షువల్ హరాస్మెంట్ ఎట్ వర్క్ ప్లేస్, ఇన్ మీడియా హౌసెస్ అండ్ ట్రైనింగ్. Yes, that's it. Rupani, you can add.
Madam, అది నా ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్. ఇప్పుడు నేను బీబీసీకి వర్క్ చేసిన, నేషనల్ మీడియా కదా, బీబీసీ కానివ్వండి, రీజనల్ కమ్ నేషనల్ అనుకోండి, తర్వాత జీక్ కానీ, ఈ ఏరియాస్ లో నేను చూసినప్పుడు బీబీసీకి నేను ఇంటర్వ్యూస్ చేసినప్పుడు వాళ్ళు ప్రయర్ గా తీసుకున్నది ఓన్లీ ఫిల్మ్ పర్సనాలిటీస్. అంటే జెండర్ సెన్సిటివిటీ దీంట్లో, అంటే కాస్టింగ్ కోచ్ గురించి మాట్లాడుతున్నారు కదా, విమెన్ హెరాస్మెంట్ గురించి మాట్లాడాలి, ఈ పాయింట్ మీద అనేది 36 ప్రామినెంట్ వాళ్ళతో చేసినప్పుడు నేను రామ్మోహన్ గారికి సజెస్ట్ చేశాను, ఈ ఒక్క ఏరియానే ఎందుకు సార్ మనం వేరే అంటే సాహిత్యం తీసుకున్నాం, యాక్టివిటీస్, సోషల్ గా ఎక్కడైతే కలుస్తున్నారో అక్కడంతా కూడా మనం తీసుకున్నామంటే అది సేలబుల్ కాదు. అంటే గ్లామరే.
ఈవెన్ బీబీసీ ఇస్ నాట్ ఎక్సెప్ట్.
అంటే అట్లాగే జీలో చూసినప్పుడు కూడాను విమెన్ అనేది ఓకే, మీరు ఎడిటింగ్ చేస్తున్నారా, ట్రాన్స్లేట్ చేస్తున్నారా, ఇంతవరకే. అండ్ ఒక డైనమిక్ దీంట్లోకి వెళ్ళడానికి మనం లేదు. అండ్ ఒక ఐడియాలజీ ఆస్పెక్ట్ లో కూడా ఒక దీంట్లో ఉన్నాం అనుకోండి, ఒక రిజిడ్ థాట్స్ తోటి తప్పిస్తే ఒక ప్రోగ్రెసివ్ థాట్స్ అనే దాన్ని అలౌ చేయడానికి సిద్ధంగా లేరు. సో ఇది నా ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ లో నేను చూసింది. దానికి ఏం చేస్తారంటే ట్యాక్స్ చేయటము, లేదా ఫెరోషీస్ అనడము, అగ్రెసివ్ అనడము. సో దీని వల్ల కూడా మనము వెళ్ళలేకపోతున్నాం. అండ్ కంపెనీస్ లో కూడా లేడీ జర్నలిస్టులకు ఎందుకు స్కోప్ ఉండట్లేదు అని అంటే, మార్కెటింగ్ చేయగలిగిన వాడు, అమ్మగలిగిన వాడు, వాడు మాత్రమే పొజిషన్స్ కి వెళ్ళగలుగుతున్నాడు. లేడీ జర్నలిస్టులు ఒక క్లబ్ కి వెళ్ళి కూర్చోలేరు, ఒక మీటింగ్ కి వెళ్ళి అంటే అది బూజింగ్ చేయడమా, లేకపోతే ఒక స్కామ్ కి సంబంధించిన ల్యాబింగ్ చేయడమా, ఇవి చేయలేకపోవడం వల్ల కూడా పొజిషన్స్ చేంజ్ అవ్వట్లేదేమో అనేది, అంటే ప్రమోషన్స్ దొరకట్లేదు, ఒక పొజిషన్ కి లీడింగ్ పొజిషన్ కి వెళ్ళలేకపోతున్నారు అనేది విమెన్ ఈ ఆస్పెక్ట్ లోనే చూస్తున్నారు. పొటెన్షియాలిటీ, థాట్, ఇంటలెక్చువాలిటీ కన్నా కూడా ముందు ఇది మేనేజ్ చేయగలగాలి, లీడర్స్ మేనేజ్ చేయగలగాలి, ఆర్థిక పరమైన విషయాలను మేనేజ్ చేయగలగాలి, యాడ్స్ తేగలగాలి, అమ్మగలగాలి. సో ఇవి జరుగుతున్నప్పుడు ఆ ట్రెండ్ ని మార్చడానికి ఏమన్నా కమిటీస్ కానివ్వండి, మాడ్యూల్స్ కానివ్వండి, రూల్స్ ను కనుక యాక్టివ్ గా చేయగలిగితే అప్పుడు జెండర్ సెన్సిటివిటీ కానివ్వండి, జెండర్ ఈక్వాలిటీ మీడియాలో వస్తుంది. లేదు అంటే డే బై డే వర్స్ గా అయిపోతుందని నా ఒపీనియన్. థ్యాంక్ యూ.
థ్యాంక్ యూ.
ఓకే,
శారదా గారు.
Sharada, you're on mute.
Yeah. So what one point I understood from Roopa Vani is that it's not just your journalistic skills, but also your marketing skills, your PR skills, which are very important in ensuring that you go up the ladder in the organization.
And maybe ఒక పాయింట్, మార్కెటింగ్ అనేది యాంగిల్ కాదు ఇక్కడ ఉన్నది. అంటే ఇంకా లోతులోకి వెళ్తే, ఎందుకంటే జర్నలిజానికి సంబంధించి, మీడియాకి సంబంధించినవి అందరికీ తెలియదు కాబట్టి ఇది ఒక ఆస్పెక్ట్ లో చూస్తున్నాం. ఇక్కడ ఏంటి అంటే ఎంత ఇబ్బందికరమైన విషయం అంటే, ఇంటర్నల్ మేనేజ్మెంట్ చేస్తూ ఆ న్యూస్ ని సేల్ చేసి బ్లాక్ మెయిల్ చేసి తీసుకురాగలిగే కెపాసిటీ కావాలి. ఓపెన్ మార్కెటింగ్ స్కిల్స్ మనకుంటాయి.
So she says there are lot many things which are involved in promoting the organization, marketing, talking and dealing with the politicians and getting money to the publication, etc. So which women are not really active in, and maybe that is the reason why they are not able to move up the hierarchy. Yeah, Shahina, 1 point from you. Shahina?
Yeah, almost the same. Like I would suggest if you can organize sensitization programs, I mean workshops on gender and how to report gender issues, and not just one workshop, but if you can plan a series of workshops, it will be great. Because, and also you have to insist that 50%, at least 50% of the participants must be men, the male reporters. So if you can do that, it would be great. Not only on gender, but in a lot of areas, actually people need training. But at least we can focus on gender reporting, and especially in the context of a lot of issues coming out, especially from Malayalam cinema. Every day, one or the other actor or somebody is raising some allegation against someone, and also every day this Me Too movement is like very active, and there are this gender issues and issues of sexual harassment. The reporting has increased actually. So there is a need to educate the reporters, the journalists on how to do this and how not to do the reporting, and what all things they should do and what all things they should not do. People really need training. I mean, people don't even understand what consent is. So there is a real lack of training. But I don't know whether gender sensitivity is something that we can, push into someone's brain. I don't know that, but still there is
it is possible, because we have done a lot of theatre-based workshops and we see a tremendous change in the perception of the people. Both Satyavati and Roopa Vani have been part of our training programs. So we will take your advice, and quickly, Loganayaki and Manjula.
Yes,
Quick
suggestion. Yes, ma'am. What Sugita said is very correct. Tamil media பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் அவங்களுக்கே வந்து அந்த ஃபீல்ட்ல வந்து அவங்கள நிலை நிறுத்திக்கிறதுக்கு, ஏன்னா கம்பேரிட்டிவ்லி மென்னோட அவங்க வந்து ஒரு சேம் சேலரி அல்லது சேம் ஒரு அவங்களுடைய அந்த ஒரு பதவி, அந்த மாதிரி அவங்களை நிலைநிறுத்திக்கிறதுக்கே அவங்க வந்து போராட வேண்டிய நிலையில இன்னைக்கு விமன் ஜேர்னலிஸ்ட் இருக்காங்க. சோ இது மாதிரியான இஷ்யூஸ் எல்லாம் அங்க போயிட்டு இருக்கும்போது, இதுல வந்து அவங்க வந்து இந்த ஜெண்டர் சென்சிட்டிவிட்டி அப்படிங்கறத அவங்க வந்து
I think she got disconnected. Yeah.
Her line dropped.
You're muted, Logan. No, Loganayaki is muted. Manjula, would you please?
Okay, I also have the same suggestion that to conduct the training workshops, but it should be, it is better to involve senior people in the newsroom, because they are the ones who decide on the stories, who delegate reporters to report, and then in the desk they are the ones who do the pages, who select the stories and all. So it is better to involve them also, because sometimes these junior reporters would not be having the voice for in the selection of stories and all. So it's better to involve them. And also in journalism we say about 4 W's and 1 Y. So this should be the mantra for even gender reporting also, because who we have to sensitize is here reporters, editors, photographers. Gender should become everyday business, and what we have to be sensitive, we have to be sensitive towards discrimination and cultural prejudices in the society, and where we should sensitize at all levels. We should sensitize starting from the advertisement management to editorial senior position leaders. So all should have that sensitivity, and then up to the desk where the news is processed. And then why it should we should do, because gender portrayal is ethical aspiration similar to accuracy. We give a lot of importance to accuracy and fairness and honesty while reporting. The gender sensitivity should also become, that should be the another word for the ethical thing, media ethics. And then how it is achieved, it is through, as inaugural address while talking, the UN person was telling about the selection of sources and stories. That should be important. Selecting sources, quoting women experts and all. There are so many women achievers these days, but still their quotes are not taken. And also in commentary, writing opinion pieces, women should be involved. There, as many women experts are there, they should be involved more and more, so that they could disseminate their ideas, and they will become a role model for the society also. So for that, sensitization is important and training is important.
Loganayaki, you want to continue, or have you done with?
Hello.
Are there any
Yes,
questions?
madam. Ma'am,
Yeah, please go ahead.
அதுதான் நான் சொல்றது. இந்த மாதிரி நீங்க ட்ரைனிங் ப்ரோக்ராம் நம்ம தமிழ் ஜேர்னலிஸ்டுக்கும் தேவைதான். ஏன்னா அவங்களுக்கு அவங்களுடைய அந்த நான் ஏற்கனவே சொன்ன மாதிரி அவங்களுடைய சூழலே அவங்களுக்கு வந்து அந்த நிலைநிறுத்திக்க வேண்டியதா இருக்கு இன்னைக்கு இருக்கக்கூடிய சூழல்ல. அவங்களுக்கு அந்த ஒரு கொஞ்சமாவது அந்த ஒரு எப்படி எழுதணும், எதை வந்து அவங்க ரொம்ப ஒரு சரியா பண்ணணும் அப்படிங்கறதுல அவங்களுக்கு கொஞ்சம் அந்த ட்ரைனிங் தேவை இருந்தா நல்லா இருக்கும். இது வந்து இன்னும் ஒரு படி மேல போய் சொன்னா ஒரே ஒரு இது. ஹலோ,
go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
இது ஒரு இன்னும் ஒரு படி மேல போனா இப்போ வந்து நம்ம செகண்ட் லேயர்ல நம்ம இந்த கரெக்ஷன்ஸ் போட்டுட்டு இருக்கோம். இந்த ஸ்கூல் லெவல்லயே, ஸ்கூல் எஜுகேஷன்லயே இது போல ஒரு ஜெண்டர் சென்சிட்டிவிட்டி அப்படிங்கிற விஷயங்களை அதுல என்ன எடுத்துட்டு போகலாம் அப்படிங்கிறதுக்கு நீங்க வந்து ஒரு பாப்புலேஷன் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வந்து ஒரு சஜஷன்ஸ் ஃபார் ஸ்கூல் எஜுகேஷன் அது போல நீங்க வந்து அதுல கொண்டு வந்தா என்ன மாதிரியான அவங்களுக்கு வந்து இது மாதிரி விமன் வந்து ஏன் அவங்க வந்து ரொம்ப ஈக்குவல் சொசைட்டில அவங்க வந்து என்ன விதத்துல வந்து இது இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் அந்த மாதிரியான அவங்க என்ன விதத்துல வந்து அது அவங்கள வந்து நம்ம வந்து அணுகணும் அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி அது மென்னுக்கும் அது சின்ன வயசுல இருந்தே. ஏன்னா இன்னைக்கு வந்து ஒரு நிறுவனத்துல எழுதுறவங்களும் அது ஜேர்னலிஸ்ட், மேல் ஜேர்னலிஸ்ட் இருக்காங்க, மேல் இது அவங்க ப்ரொப்ரைட்டர்ஸ் இருக்கிறாங்க, அவங்க மீடியா ப்ரொப்ரைட்டர்ஸ் இருக்காங்க, எல்லாருமே அவங்க வந்து மேல இருக்கப்போ அவங்களுக்கும் நம்ம இந்த விஷயத்த வந்து அவங்களுக்கு அது கொடுக்கத்தான் வேணும். பெண்ணுக்கு மட்டுமே இந்த விஷயத்தை நம்ம உணர்த்திட்டே இருந்து பிரயோஜனமே இல்லை. ஆணுக்கும் இதை உணர்த்தினாதான் அவங்களுக்கு வந்து சரியா வரும். சோ இத வந்து இன்னும் சின்ன வயசுலயே இந்த பேசிக் லேயர்ஸ்லயே நாம இதை கொடுக்கறதுக்கு வேற ஏதாவது பண்ண முடியுமா அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு நீங்க அதாவது இதை எல்லாருமே ஃபீல் ஆகணும். நீங்க உங்களுக்கு பாயிண்ட்ஸ் கேட்டதுனால நீங்க வந்து அதுல ஏதாவது ஸ்கூல் எஜுகேஷன்ல அது போல அவங்களுக்கு அதை உணர்த்துறதுக்கு, அது அந்த ஜெண்டர் சென்சிட்டிவிட்டியை உணர்த்துறதுக்கு ஏதாவது ஒரு ஸ்ட்ராங்கான பாயிண்ட்ஸ் அதை கொடுக்க முடிஞ்சா ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமா இருக்கும்.
Anuja.
So Loganayaki mentioned that she agrees with the other panelists that training programs are extremely essential. But she raised another very critical point. She said that how is it that the Population First as an organization can work on including gender sensitivity in school education and school textbooks. She says in school textbooks also, men and women, boys and girls are portrayed in very stereotypical roles. So how is it that they can be shown in more gender diverse roles, and how is it that our textbooks can help to socialize men in a manner that they treat women equally, right? I hope I got that correct.
Okay. No, actually, அங்கே இந்த பேசிக் லேயர்லயே வந்து நம்ம அந்த கரெக்ஷன்ஸ் வந்து இங்க ட்ரைனிங் ப்ரோக்ராம்ஸ் இந்த ஏஜ் ஆஃப் 20s 30sல நம்ம பண்றதுக்கு அங்கேயே வந்து அந்த ஒரு விதமான அந்த நாலேஜ், அந்த விமன் வந்து why so important அந்த மாதிரியான விஷயங்களை அந்த குழந்தைகளுக்கு நம்ம அதை கொடுக்கும்போது they will understand எப்படி அது பெட்டர் இல்லையா?
Basically to catch them young.
Okay. So we have two questions. Two people have raised their hands. Ritu.
We have Padma. Could you please unmute yourself and come on video, please? Padma Yogendra is here. Padma, can you unmute yourself, Padma, please?
Yeah. Hi. I'm Padma Yogendra. I'm a professional counselor, but I worked with IVID and I'm a gender trainer too. And gender sensitivity, to work on gender issues is one of my passions. So I'm really very happy to be on the webinar, and a lot of information. Yes, it's always been my anguish that we don't have a strong voice. As you said, there is training going on, there is awareness created. For those who are working on the field, there is so much awareness and a strong passion to work on it. But then to everybody voiced what they felt, in many of the issues that they faced. But what I see is there is a lack of a strong voice to protest, like, in oppositions or PETA, how Human Rights Commission steps into it, and immediately there is people are getting up and saying, oh, people, we have to be careful, we have questions raised. So we are not a strong body to voice it out. So while we are at it, we are doing the training, I think we also need to become a very strong body with a voice, wherein, we need to be immediately noticed. The minute we protest, they say, oh, they are here. So we need to, so they let them be accountable. The accountability will come only when we protest. That's what I feel. We protest in such a voice that we become a very strong voice and affiliated to other networks. So it's equally important that we also are networking with a sense of, aggression, that we have to be heard, because that's a voice. We are voicing what is everybody facing, because I think equally journalists and activists are equally victimized in every time they protest. Thank you. Thank you for giving me this chance.
Thank you so much for that, ma'am. Very valid points. And I'll now like to bring Mr. Srinivas. Would you unmute yourself and ask a question that you wanted to?
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Srinivas from Adilabad of Telangana. వినిపిస్తుందా మేడం?
వినిపిస్తుందండి, చెప్పండి.
థ్యాంక్స్ అండి. చాలా మంది ప్యానెల్లో ఉన్న వాళ్ళు నాకు తెలిసిన వాళ్ళు ఉన్నారు. రూపా వాణి గారు, వనజ, సత్యవతి మేడం, శారద గారు. ఐఎమ్ వెరీ హ్యాపీ టు షేర్. మేడం, మీరు మాట్లాడుతున్నారు చాలా వరకు సెన్సిటైజేషన్ టువర్డ్స్ ఉమెన్ ఇష్యూస్ గురించి. అయితే నాకు అనిపించింది ఏంటంటే, ఈ సెన్సిటైజేషన్ అనేది ఓన్లీ జర్నలిస్ట్ గా మారిన తర్వాత కాకుండా అది ఫ్యామిలీ స్థాయి నుండి రావాలి. అబ్బాయిలో కానీ జర్నలిస్ట్ గా మారుతున్న వాళ్ళు ఫ్యామిలీ నుండే పేరెంట్స్ సెన్సిటైజ్ చేస్తే ఆ సెన్సిటైజేషన్ అనేది పైకి వెళ్తున్న కొద్దీ పెరుగుతుంది. జర్నలిస్ట్ గా మారిన తర్వాతనే ఉమెన్ ఇష్యూస్ పట్ల సెన్సిటైజ్ కావడం అనేది కొంత ఇబ్బందికరమే. ఎందుకంటే అప్పుడున్న పరిస్థితులు ఎట్లా ఉంటాయో ఆ పాటికి ఆయన పర్సనాలిటీ డెవలప్ అయి ఉంటుంది ఒక మేరకు జర్నలిస్ట్ గా. కాకపోతే ఫ్యామిలీ నుండే పేరెంట్స్ సెన్సిటైజ్ చేస్తే ఆ వ్యక్తి రూపట సెన్సిటైజేషన్ టువర్డ్స్ ఇష్యూస్ కానీ, ఉమెన్ ఇష్యూస్ కానీ, ఉమెన్ పట్ల ఆ గౌరవం కానీ ఉంటుంది. కాబట్టి అతను చూసే కోణం ఉమెన్ ఇష్యూస్ పట్ల జర్నలిస్ట్ గా డిఫరెంట్ గా ఉంటుంది. సో జర్నలిస్ట్ గా మారిన తర్వాతనే ఉమెన్ ఇష్యూస్ పట్ల సెన్సిటైజ్ కావడం అనేది అంత రిలవెంట్ గా అనిపించదు. ఈ
పాయింట్ జర్నలిస్టే ఉండాలని కాదు, పర్సెప్షన్ ఎలా ఉంది అంటే న్యూస్ స్టోరీస్ ప్రెజెంట్ చేయడంలో జనరల్ సెన్సిటివిటీకి స్కోప్ ఉందా లేదా అనేది తప్పించి జర్నలిస్ట్ అయ్యాక జనరల్ సెన్సిటివిటీ కావాలనేది కాదు. అక్కడ
ఆ సెన్సిటైజేషన్ అనేది ఫ్యామిలీ నుండి ఉంటే తప్పకుండా జర్నలిస్ట్ స్థాయికి వచ్చిన ఒక రిపోర్టర్, అబ్బాయి కానీ అమ్మాయి కానీ, ఆ ఇష్యూస్ పట్ల తప్పగా ఉంటుంది. దానికి ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ మన దగ్గర చాలా కనపడతాయి. అమ్మాయిలే రిపోర్ట్ చేస్తే ఆ రిపోర్ట్ పట్ల న్యాయం జరుగుతుంది అనేది ఏం లేదు. అబ్బాయిలు సెన్సిటివ్ గా ఉన్న వాళ్ళు చేస్తే కూడా దానికి న్యాయం చేయొచ్చు. దర్ ఆర్ సో మెనీ హిస్టారికల్ ఎవిడెన్సెస్. సో మీరు అన్నట్టుగా వి కెనాట్ బ్లేమ్ ఆల్ ద టైమ్ ద మేనేజ్మెంట్స్ అండ్ మీడియా మోర్ ఓవర్. ఎందుకంటే అక్కడ ఉన్న లిమిటేషన్స్ చాలా ఉన్నాయి, స్పేస్ చాలా వాల్యుబుల్. తర్వాత అక్కడ డెస్క్ లో ఎవరు
స్పేస్ గురించి 1 minute శ్రీనివాస్ గారు, మీరు మాట్లాడుతున్న దానికి వైట్లీ నేను మాట్లాడేది ఏంటి అని అంటే, మీరు మాట్లాడుతుంది రివర్స్ లో వస్తున్నారు. సేమ్ ఇదే ఐడియాలజీని మేము అపోజ్ చేస్తుంది. సో అఫ్ కోర్స్ మీరు మాట్లాడుతున్నారు చూసారా, మేనేజ్మెంట్ ని వెనకేసుకొచ్చి మీరు మాట్లాడుతున్నారు లిమిటేషన్స్ అని. ఆ లిమిటేషన్సే అభ్యంతరకరం. ఎందుకని అని అంటే ఆ థాట్ ప్రాసెస్ మారాలి. ఆ థాట్ ప్రాసెస్ లో ఈ స్పేస్ ని సెటిల్డ్ గా కనుక ఒక స్పేస్ కనుక ఇవ్వగలిగితే అక్కడి నుంచి జనరల్ సెన్సిటివిటీకి సరైన ఒక సపోర్ట్ దొరుకుతుంది. మగవాళ్ళు అదేనండి, ఒక్క నిమిషం శ్రీనివాస్ గారు, మగవాళ్ళల్లో సెన్సిటివిటీ లేదనే విషయం అసలు పాయింటే రైజ్ చేయలేదు. చక్కగా ఫెమినైన్ గా ఆలోచించే వాళ్ళు ఉన్నారు, విమెన్ కి సపోర్ట్ గా ఉండే మగవాళ్ళు ఉన్నారు. అది కాదు మాట్లాడుతోంది. జెండర్ సెన్సిటివిటీకి సంబంధించినంత వరకు మీడియాలో విమెన్ కి ప్రజెంట్ చేయడానికి స్పేస్ ఎంత దొరుకుతుంది, ఎంత వెసులుబాటు దొరుకుతుంది, ఇది ఈ పరిస్థితులు ఉన్నాయా ఇవాళ రోజున అనేది మనం మాట్లాడుకుంటున్నాం.
మేనేజ్మెంట్ వెనుకేసుకొస్తున్నారు అనేది పదం తప్పు. నేను వెనుకేసుకోవడం రావడం గురించి గురించి చెప్తున్నా. ఎందుకంటే 20 సంవత్సరాలు కానీ మీడియాలో ఉన్నా, ముఖ్యంగా ఇంగ్లీష్ లో కాదు తెలుగు మీడియాలో కూడా నేను రాసిన వాళ్ళని. వనజ గారికి తెలుసు, తర్వాత అందరికి తెలుసు. నేను ఏమంటున్నా అంటే మేనేజ్మెంట్ గురించి మనం ఎంత మాట్లాడుతున్నామో రాస్తున్న ఆ వ్యక్తికి అంత సిన్సియారిటీ ఉందా ఇష్యూస్ పట్ల అనేది కూడా చూడాలి.
శ్రీనివాస్ గారు, మా మీడియా అవార్డ్స్ లో 33% పైన 35% విన్నర్స్ ఆర్ మెన్. సో వి వాల్యూ మెన్ అండ్ యు.
yes madam, నేను అదే చెప్తున్నా. ఇంకొకటి మీరు అన్నట్టుగా తెలుగు మీడియాలో చాలా
మీడియాది మేనేజ్మెంట్ ప్రధాన పాత్ర అండి.
మెన్ గురించి మాట్లాడటం లేదు. జనరల్ గా there is a lack of space for gender issues.
yes that is what I am referring.
Reasons which we are talking
తెలుగు
about.
మీడియాలో చాలా వరకు రిపోర్టర్స్ లేరు, అది వాస్తవము. చాలా వరకు వాళ్ళు ఉన్నా కూడా ఫీచర్స్ డెస్క్ పరిమితం అవుతున్నారు. వాళ్ళని అక్కడికే సిటీలో కన్ఫైన్ చేసి హోటల్స్ కు పంపిస్తారు, వేరే షోలకు పంపిస్తారు, అవే రాపిస్తారు. కిందికి వచ్చి ఆదిలాబాద్ కో, కరీంనగర్ కో, తెలంగాణలో మహబూబ్ నగర్ లో జరిగే వాటికి సంబంధించి ఆత్మహత్యలకు కానీ ఉమెన్ ఇష్యూస్ కానీ పంపరు. అది మనకు క్లియర్ గా కనబడుతుంటది. కానీ చాలా వరకు అబ్బాయిలు రాసే వాటిలో కూడా కన్సిస్టెన్సీ ఉంటే ఏదో ఒక మేరకు స్పేస్ రావడానికి అవకాశం ఉన్నది. నేను బలంగా నమ్ముతున్న దాన్ని. ఎందుకు అంటే 20 సంవత్సరాలుగా డెక్కన్ క్రానికల్ లో నేను పనిచేస్తున్నా. మా ఎడిటర్ మేడం కూడా జయంతి అని ఉండేవాళ్ళు. ఏటి జయంతి మీకు ఐడియా ఉంటుంది. సో స్టార్టింగ్ లో ఎట్లా ఉండే, అరే అబ్బాయి ఏంటి ఎప్పటికి దళిత ఇష్యూ, ఉమెన్ ఇష్యూస్ రాస్తున్నాడు అని అనుకునేవాళ్ళు. నేనేం చేసిన, సీరియస్ గా నా ఎఫర్ట్స్ పెట్టిన. ఆల్ ద టైమ్ ఐ ట్రైడ్ మై లెవెల్ బెస్ట్ టు కన్విన్స్ మై బాసెస్ త్రూ మై hard hitting stories.
Okay,
good
argument చేసుకుంటే బాగలేదేమో.
Yeah. No, we understand you and we have to understand your point. So
ఏమంటున్నా అంటే కన్సిస్టెన్సీ లేకుండా మిగతా వాళ్ళు మనని వింటారు అని అనుకోండి.
Yes consistency is important, understanding is important.
10 సార్లు రాస్తే 10 రిపోర్ట్స్ రాస్తే ఒక రిపోర్ట్ అన్న పబ్లిష్ అవుతది.
అదే we agree with. Yes, we agree that there should be consistency and there should be support from the organization. Please stop now because there are others also to talk. Yeah. Yes. We are running late. We are already 7:05. 14 minutes late.
We are ambiguity and how to report the women issues. That is there. We are getting trained now, people like you, and we are interacting with you. So there are so many issues. We are always in the confusion and in dilemma, in hesitation whether I should report it or not to report. I will give you an example. One Dalit woman was raped in Lingapur in Adilabad in 1999. మీకు తెలుసు అది. అప్పుడు అయిన తర్వాత ఏమైంది, ఫీల్డ్ లెవెల్ పోయి రిపోర్ట్ చేసే వాళ్ళు లేకుండే. ఆ టైంలో జరిగిన ఆ ఇష్యూ టైంలోనే రెడ్డి అమ్మాయిని రేపు చేసిన ఆ సంఘటన జరిగింది హైదరాబాద్ లో. దానికి ఎంత కవరేజ్ దొరికింది, ఆదిలాబాద్ లో జరిగిన దళిత అమ్మాయికి ఎట్లా కవరేజ్ దొరికింది, ఎట్లా డిస్క్రిమినేషన్ జరిగింది అనేది మనం చూసినాం. ఆ ఇష్యూస్ లో నేను లింగాపూర్కి వెళ్ళి నేను రిపోర్ట్ చేసిన తర్వాత వాళ్ళ ఫ్యామిలీ మెంబర్స్ రైజ్డ్ ద ఇష్యూ సేయింగ్ దట్ దే అలెజ్డ్ దట్ దే ఆర్ షోయింగ్ స్టేట్ గవర్నమెంట్ అండ్ పోలీస్ బయాస్ టువర్డ్స్ దేర్ ఇన్సిడెంట్. థింగ్స్ స్టార్టెడ్ చేంజింగ్. సో ఆ తర్వాత నాకు భయం ఏంటిది, నేను లింగాపూర్కి పోయినప్పుడు ఐ కమ్ అక్రాస్ సమ్ సీన్స్ వైల్ ఐ ఇంటరాక్టింగ్ విత్ హిస్ హస్బెండ్. హి సెడ్ దట్ డ్యూరింగ్ ద రేప్ షీ వాస్ on periods. I was in dilemma whether I report it or not. I don't know whether my people will carry that report or not, whether it is a true or not. I have cross-checked with his husband and I carried a report saying that with a heading.
Yeah, can you be brief, Srinivas, because
yes.
We are running short of time.
Victim not spared during the periods. సో మాకు డైలమాస్ ఉన్నాయి కొన్ని. మేము రాయచ్చా రాయరాదా, ఉమెన్ ఇష్యూస్ ఆ సమస్యలు ఉన్నప్పుడు మేము ప్రజెంట్ చేయొచ్చా చేయరాదా, చేస్తే మా మేనేజ్మెంట్ ఒప్పుకుంటుందా లేదా. సో దీస్ ఆర్ ద ఇష్యూస్ టు బి డిస్కస్డ్ సీరియస్లీ. మీలాంటి వాళ్ళు మేము మాట్లాడినప్పుడు ఈ ఇష్యూస్ కూడా రైజ్ చేయొచ్చు అని తెలుసుకున్నప్పుడు తప్పకుండా చేస్తాం. ఆ స్పేస్ మాకు దొరుకుతుంది. ఇదంతా ఇంటరాక్షన్ లోపల చాలా వరకు చర్చ జరిగినప్పుడు వచ్చే అవుట్కమ్ మీద ఆధారపడి ఉంటుంది. అంతేగాని మీరు అన్నట్టుగా సారీ మేడం, మేనేజ్మెంట్ నేను కేసుకరాం కాదు, ఒక వ్యక్తి పర్సెప్షన్ ఎట్లా ఉంది
మేనేజ్మెంట్ ఏనండి.
మేనేజ్మెంట్ వెనకేసి కూడా అది we are not
హ్యూమన్ ఇష్యూస్ పట్ల ఎంత కమిటెడ్ గా ఉన్నాడు ఆ రిపోర్టర్ అనేది చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఒకవేళ కమిటెడ్ గా ఉంటే తప్పకుండా స్పేస్ కోసం ఫైట్ చేస్తారు. దట్ ఈస్ ద సోషల్ రెస్పాన్సిబిలిటీ.
అసలు ఇక్కడ మగ జర్నలిస్ట్ ఆడ జర్నలిస్ట్ అనే స్పేస్ లేదండి. జెండర్ సెన్సిటివిటీ మీద స్టోరీస్ ఎంత వరకు స్పేస్ ఉంది అనేది ఇక్కడ మెయిన్ పాయింట్ అంతే.
Roopa Vani, let's stop the discussion here because I just clarify. We said that we are not talking about men and women here. We are talking about gender in reportage on gender. What are the constraints? And we are also talking about the less space that women are increasingly having in media because of various COVID ochindi, commercialization, lot of issues. Look, participation of women is reducing, so we are focusing on that. We have nothing against the system. We are not saying anything against men journalists. We are not holding them responsible for anything.
No,
so don't take it personally. Okay.
Sure.
Any more questions?
I think we are overshot the time, and thank you so much, all of you all. It was fantastic. It was a very, very interesting conversation that we have had. And I would like to definitely say that the program comes to an end. And I would like to thank all the people. There's so much of interest, so much of passion in each of you all when you all spoke about the topics. A big, huge thanks to Mr. Sriram Haridass, though he had to leave due to some work. And I would like to thank all my speakers once again, as well as the team at Population First. And most of all, a huge note of gratitude to the Norwegian Embassy in New Delhi and UNFPA. Without them, this unflinching support for this workshop would have not happened. Thank you so much once again. And we look forward to many more applications coming in. We just have 5 days more. You all are ambassadors. Please take this message and get a lot of people to apply for the Nadu Media Awards. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Malati and Sharada.
Can I just come in?
It was wonderful talking to you.
Malti, before we conclude, can I come in for a minute?
Yes, please.
We've all talked of the real need for training and building a gender perspective. Can I request all our panelists, to look for opportunities, and if there are any, to inform Population First. We would be very happy to undertake these trainings jointly. So just with that note, thanks once again. And on behalf of UNFPA, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.